should be detained and deported, you're racist. In fact, if you even criticise any element of the immigration policies of the last two governments, you're racist. And yet the Home Secretary, Shubham Mahmood, tries to copy our policies.
Patriotism, a force for good, is turning into something smaller, something more like ethno-nationalism, which struggles to accept that someone who looks like me and has a faith like mine can truly be English or British.
Britain is being invaded. Thousands of fighting-age men from countries that despise Britain continue to arrive on our beaches. Our plan is the only appropriate response to a national security emergency. Immediate removal. Deportation is the ultimate deterrent.
Our flags flying proudly as we celebrate difference and oppose racism.
Labour says these policies are racist and immoral, and by implication, Reform supporters, Reform voters, Reform sympathisers are racist too. Yes, if you think we should control our borders, you are, by the definition of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, all racists.
We can all see that the country faces a choice, a defining choice. Britain stands at a fork in the road. We can choose decency, or we can choose division, renewal or decline.
To accuse countless millions of being racist is a very, very low blow. Why? Well, this language would incite and encourage the radical left. I'm thinking of Antifa and other organisations like that. It directly threatens the safety of our elected officials and our campaigners. And frankly, in the wake of the Charlie Kirk murder, I think this is an absolute disgrace.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Very good afternoon to you. Thank you to Ian Collins. We're live across the United Kingdom. You will not get this.
That's such fake news.
No, we're not. We're the home of free speech and common sense. JK on drive until 7 o'clock, 3 hours we've got to do this. Team are in place, we're ready to go. Astonishing show yesterday and so many of you responding. And the continued discussion today, as ever, if you want to be part of the show, Judy, Judy's here. 0344 499 1000 is the number. Same number for your voice notes to Ryan, who's looking a little bit happier today, which is always a good sign. 0344 499 1000. And the baldy man, the main man, the button putter. What does that mean? Or even the button pusher. That was good. Great start. Dave's here pushing all the buttons. It's all going on. 87222. Start your message with the word talk for your text messages in the next 4 hours. Listen, yesterday, we're going to speak to Jack Elsom in a minute. It was probably one of the most astonishing days I think I've ever seen. Call me a voter, not a broadcaster. We had the Prime Minister of this country steadfastly ignoring Her Majesty's opposition, who have 121 seats, and basically 3 3/4 years out from an election, aiming all of his fire on one Nigel Farage. I thought it was the biggest political own goal ever. Farage, Prime Ministerial, responds in minutes and says this is disgusting to the millions of people who support reform, and using the term "these people are racist" shows exactly how misplaced you are in the job. Reform's made a comment today as well. I actually knew this. I didn't know they'd made this public. Keir Starmer's behind the fact that Farage has had his security cut. It is a fact that Nigel Farage, out of his own pocket, now pays for his own security, which is almost unheard of, because if you are, in fact, in a role of running a party, you're supposed to have security provided. I learnt this at the Reform conference. Zia Youssef, the man who's heading up Doge and looking at expenditure for reform, said this on Breakfast with Mike Graham earlier.
But I think it is in the public interest that they know that just about 2 weeks ago, the authorities slashed the size of Nigel's security detail by 75%. The authorities cut Nigel's security detail by 75% 2 weeks ago. That's why so many of us around Nigel are so worried. Now, I want to be clear and reassure people who A, support Nigel, but B, all right-thinking people in this country who believe in sensible democratic politics in this country, that thankfully donors stepped in and have shored up that security, so Nigel is well protected. But the Prime Minister knows exactly what he's doing. This is a Prime Minister who's circling the drain, who, according to a poll this week, is the most unpopular Prime Minister on record. According to a poll this week, the majority of Labour members want to be replaced, and he's lashing out against a man that he knows. Starmer knows he cannot beat Nigel at the ballot box, so he's embarked on the most, I want to say it again, extraordinary, coordinated attacks to incite violence against the man who is the bookmaker's favourite to replace him at number 10 Downing Street. It's disgusting, and he should apologise.
It's interesting. He sort of rode back today, Starmer, let's not lie. He's saying, and this is really what I would love your opinion on today, 0344 499 1000. He's saying today, I am not calling Nigel Farage a racist. He's a formidable man, really. I'm not calling the millions of people who are showing a leaning towards reform as racist. I'm saying that the policies, or some of them, are racist. Am I the only one that thinks that if you're saying what I believe in is racist, you're intimating that that person too is racist? The security angle is massively important. One thing I know that leaders who perhaps are looking at gaining seats, and this could be Ed Davey, although he's got security, Farage, the Greens, whatever, I think the one thing that the Reform Party have to be aware of is that the establishment in its full glory is probably the wrong word. I'm going to come for the people who look to be making gains, but to take away the security of a man who's brave enough to stick his head above the parapet and say things that a lot of us resonate with, that has implications. As if you think it couldn't get better, I have to add this into the mix. You're not having a great week, Starmer. You've called millions of people racist. Then your Deputy Prime Minister, the useless David Lammy, stood up and said, yes, and Nigel Farage, he flirted with the Adolf Hitler youth movement, did he? Because that was disbanded 25 years before Nigel Farage was born, to which Lammy had to apologise. Today, Ed Millipede, has called for Elon Musk to get the hell out of our politics as he accused the right of waging a war against clean energy. Yeah, we are, because it's a waste of bloody money. This is Ed Miliband.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. He incites violence on our streets. He calls for the overthrow of our elected government. He's an enabler of disinformation through X. He thinks he can tell us how to run Britain. Conference. We have a message for Elon Musk. Get the hell out of our politics and our country.
He looks utterly demented. Is it just me? I'm slightly scary. Ed Miliband, get the hell out of our politics. I think most people are thinking you get the hell out of our politics. I could be wrong. And I'm no fan of Elon Musk. I'm just going to make a clean sweep today. So we've had Starmer, the racist. We've had Lammy, you belong to Hitler Youth. They've both rode back. We've had Miliband saying everybody in the right hates clean energy. No, most people who aren't barking mad like you realise that spending billions of pounds trying to achieve something that isn't achievable is probably a waste of money. ID cards. I don't know if you noticed this in all the madness. Big announcement at the weekend. So from Starmer. ID cards. This is the future. ID cards. No mention in his speech, because over the weekend they did a poll. The day he stood up and said that ID cards, just before he said it, 35% of the UK public were in favour. 35%. The following day, after he'd mentioned ID cards, this is absolutely true. They did another poll, and did this impact on you? But minus 14% of this country. I don't know how you work that figure out. Now want ID cards. One of the most... Well, I'll read you a headline from The Sun today. The amazing Jack Elsom, political editor for The Sun. Burnham's been put back in his box, but if Starmer can't beat reform, he's toast. A very good afternoon to the incredibly hard-working Jack Elsom. How are you?
Good afternoon, Jeremy. Yes, I'm okay. I'm a bit bleary-eyed. I came back from Liverpool earlier this afternoon, and it's been a long couple of days up there at the Labour Party conference, be it both in the conference hall and the bars afterwards, where lots of the hard work of journalism really gets done.
I say that, and I look at you with a bottle of red wine over your right ear on the shelf at the back. I know you wouldn't have had a drink at all at Liberal Party conference, but I have to say this, fair play to Jack Elsom. I rang him this morning, he went, oh, just getting in an Uber. It's been a hard 3 days. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Great article.
No problem.
Page 10. Burnham's been put back in his box, but if Starmer can't beat Reform, he's toast. Can I get your view? I spoke to Ryan yesterday, your deputy editor. I thought, and maybe I'm missing the point, it was one of the biggest political mistakes, and he's made a few, he could ever have made. If you are essentially, personal attacks happen all the time, I guess, but if you are essentially saying to the millions of people who are involved in interested by what Reform are saying, because they seem to have the pulse of the nation at their fingertips, you're labelling them racist. And today, of course, he's rowed back.
Well, I'm not sure whether it's a mistake or not. That will be that will come out in time, but it's definitely a gamble. And I think what we saw from Keir Starmer in Liverpool over the weekend was a big key change, because essentially he is now trying to write the script for the next election, and he's doing two things. One, he's trying to paint Nigel Farage as such an unpalatable figure that most people in this country will just turn off him and think that actually he's not the one for them. And then secondly, he's trying to paint the next election as a straight shootout between Labour and Reform, so that if people are so put off by the horrible, monstrous racist, as he would say it, Nigel Farage, then the only thing which they can do is hold their nose and vote for Labour. The Tories not even at the races, and then other minor left-wing parties, the Greens and the Lib Dems, all coalesce around Starmer's banner in a basically big attempt to stop Nigel Farage getting into Downing Street. But as you said, it's incredibly risky, because I think what he's really done now, essentially, either by design or by accident, is told those millions of people that have flocked to Nigel Farage's banner in the past few months that actually he's not really interested in getting their vote back, because he thinks that they are essentially following what he describes in his own words as racist policies. Now, It's interesting that the fact that he has, and I think that many people now will see him descending into the gutter with these attacks, because, you know, the racism is not a word which you throw around lightly. You know, we can talk about David Lammy and deploying Hitler in the aftermath of Keir Starmer's speech, which I think just took it to a whole new low. But by basically saying that these people, who a lot of them voted Labour at the last election, a lot of them voted Labour and have now left in their droves because they see migration coming in unfettered numbers. They see hotels still proliferating every day, and they see crime in their streets. If you say to them that basically you're just following racist policies, then they're going to turn their backs. And so, you know, it's a very, very high-stakes gamble. Keir Starmer is banking on the fact that there'll be enough people put off by Nigel Farage, but you know what? I'm not sure there will be. I
think the interesting point is I don't doubt what you've said. I think the reason that I thought it was a huge own goal is because of something that I've said for weeks and months on this show, and I'm sure it bores people, certainly the production staff. I think the British people, the silent majority, have woken up. I don't think anymore, because of what's happened, how drained they are economically, financially, morally, legally, however you want to dress it up. I think millions more people who were perhaps switched off from politics have switched on because they feel that they're 28th in the queue, because they feel unfairly treated, because they've lived their lives correctly, and all of a sudden they feel they're being talked to. I don't think sound bites work anymore. I believe that Keir Starmer saying Nigel Farage is a racist, I think you're right, it will polarise, but it's not going to... I hate to make this analogy, but this is really, really interesting to me. I think there's great similarities between here and America. I mean, this is a really interesting text. We just played a clip of Ed Miliband standing up and saying, Elon Musk, get the hell out of British politics. Now, Jodie doesn't know this, but this is a fact, right? Listen to this, right? I'm no big fan of Elon Musk, but it's a bit rich for Labour to say, get out of our politics, when they sent an army of volunteers from Labour to America to help Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump. True or false?
Yeah, no, that is true. And obviously Donald Trump was incredibly angry and incensed by that at the time. I don't really know what Ed Miliband thinks that what he's doing by picking a fight with Elon Musk. I mean, most people in this country will go, we want you to get our energy bills down. We don't
That's
care
what I'm
your
talking
opinions
about.
are
Absolutely.
on Silicon Valley giants. And I think that, for him to sort of, try and butt heads with Elon Musk in a sort of weird attempt to look tough. Remember, obviously, Ed Miliband, he's very tough, as he said when he ran for leader back in 2015. But I think that most people would say, get your energy bills down. And if that means that, we have to use the power beneath our feet, as Donald Trump's doing in America, then let's go down that path. Poll after poll has shown that people would rather prioritise getting energy bills down than prioritising eco schemes. And so if that's what the public are telling them, then that's what they should do, because at the moment, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice and the Reform Party, they have stood on a platform of getting rid of a lot of this net zero stuff, and clearly they are doing very well in the polls. But listen, I know we've talked about this before, but most people do not follow the cut and thrust of everyday politics.
Absolutely.
Most people really do not want politics to intrude on their lives. But over the past few years, it has become inescapable for them to avoid the big issues in this country when it comes to migration, when it comes to the pound in their pockets, and when it comes to crime. And it is those people that are really surging reform up the polls. And I fear that Keir Starmer yesterday didn't make as much of an attempt as he should have to try to understand and at least display that he understands their frustrations. And this whole shtick that he did about saying that Britain is not broken, Britain is a great country, that is undoubtedly correct. We are a fantastic country, and we are a tolerant, compassionate country. But people do see the mess around Britain every single day.
We're sinking in a sea of debt under a government that's based on an ideology that I think, and many people think, is more interested in looking good on the world stage. And you're so right. There was an opportunity for him yesterday to say, I hear you. I hear your concerns about the boats, about the NHS, about the lack of police, I saw a video just then about shoplifting. Appalling things are happening, right? You eulogise and you moralise like Sadiq Khan is in London. Get sorted with what's going on the streets. I also wanted to touch upon your article's fantastic. I was really interested in the other stories. Zia Yusuf was on Breakfast with MG. I knew this from weeks ago at the party conference when I hosted it with David Bull. Nigel Farage had his security cut by 75%. They didn't make that public, right? He has, through donors, been paying for private security for the last month. This came out yesterday because of the attacks from Starmer. Is it not a bit rich from Starmer to talk about, a caring society and this man is, basically just a gob, whatever, what the second part of the word is I'm going to say and I can't say, who rushes around the place and drolls up all this sort of divisive politics? I would have thought he did put him in danger, as well as offending millions of people. He did basically say, because everybody knows that in this country there are lines drawn, and I felt that speech was disgraceful on many fronts. The security thing's an issue, plus I also love your opinion on this. To say that Nigel Farage and Reform are unpatriotic and don't like the United Kingdom left me almost more gobsmacked yesterday, Jack, than the accusation that their policies are racist.
Yeah, and listen, the rough and tumble of politics is always going to involve some low blows, that's for sure. Unfortunately, we live in a time where, political violence seems to be on the rise. And we've obviously had some horrific high-profile cases, be it Joe Cox, be it David Amos, be it Charlie Kirk over in America. And, most people in this country, do exercise their democratic right to protest respectfully. And let's be honest, people are angry out there on both sides of the divide, but it's when the anger tips over into totally disproportionate and unacceptable violence that we should be worried. And so listen, I obviously think that Nigel Farage has made a career of putting his head above the parapet, but also actually going out there onto the streets and talking to people. You talk to Nigel Farage, and he's very proud of the fact that he sort of does walk around throughout the street, doesn't really manage them and choreograph them like other leaders do. And so, listen, obviously, I hope that nothing comes of this, but they are clearly seeing this as a row today.
I couldn't agree more. And just finally, because fair play to you, mate, for coming on, and I mean that, the Tories. What I also astounded me yesterday was Her Majesty's opposition with 121 seats who've got their conference. Where's their conference this
week? It's in Manchester. I'm going there in a few days' time.
Manchester, where apparently the big announcement from Kemi will be, I'm going to leave the ECHR. And every scribe at every news station in the world is going to stand up and go, well, I think you'll find Farage did that 6 months ago because he's on the front foot. What's happened to the Tories? The Prime Minister of this country, the majority of nearly 170 whatever, spent his whole time slagging off a man with 5 MPs. Where's the opposition?
I mean, the real danger now for Kemi Badenoch is not that she is attacked and pummeled and pulverised by opposition parties and critics. It's something even more worse, tragic than that. It's fading into irrelevance totally. And for a party which has had such a strong track record of winning elections, it is the most successful party in the Western world, has essentially dominated government for the past 200 years in this country. There is now an existential risk, and that is the chatter in the Tory tribe. You chat to MPs, you chat to shadow cabinet ministers, you chat to ordinary members, donors, and they are generally seeing this as an existential risk, because in our two-party system, when you get beyond that inflection point where you drop out of the top two, you can drop very, very quickly. And so it's going to be a real issue for her at this conference. And I think that people will be expecting her to do something bold, to do something radical, to wave her hands and say, we're still here, we've got a plan for this country. ECHR reform, well, listen, that's very popular, but problem is, one, Nigel Farage said that he's going to do that a few months ago, and two, because we're all expecting it, it's not really going to have that big bang shock factor.
Mate, I couldn't.
That she needs.
I'm going to agree with Mike Graham, as I tend to find myself doing more so on a daily basis. He will be gone after May next year, and she won't last either. I think we're in for a really interesting time. Yeah, listen, Jack, I know you've been very professional. Back to bed, my old son. Thank you so much for being on. The Sun's political editor, great article, page 10 today. Burnham's been put back in his box, but if Starmer can't beat reform, he's toast. It's 4:21. We're live across the UK on Talk Drive, the home of free speech and common sense. 0344 419 1000. Text to 87222. Quickly to the break with a call. We'll go to London. James, you're on Drive. Couple of minutes, kiddo. What you got?
Oh, well, Jazz, I just want to basically agree with everything that you say, and that basically the temperature is like that before President Trump was shot in July of last year. And Mr. Starmer is basically putting up the temperature through the roof. And I just want to talk about that conference yesterday. It was nothing more than choreographed nonsense. We could see through the fakeness of it, and I bet you everybody who was waving those flags yesterday had their little disinfectants next to them as they were washing themselves after touching an English or a British flag. Jeremy,
interesting how they all started waving. Interesting how they all started waving the flags, because this is my point, right? This is my point. This is not pro-reform. This is just me speaking. If you are on the front foot, sticking up for the flag, talking about migration, being concerned about the NHS, and those are the concerns of the British people, that will resonate with them and they'll say this is fantastic. If you do it afterwards, because some, I don't know, focus group has said, oh, by the way, quick, bloody hell, let's wave a few flags because that'll look good. Let's bring in ID cards. That's not going to work. It's all reactive, and you're so right. And I just thought yesterday, Nigel Farage looked prime ministerial, didn't you?
Absolutely right. And just on the ID cards quickly, Jeremy, we don't need ID cards. We've got things called national insurance cards, and we've got something in law which would basically give employers £30,000 fines for every individual. So why isn't Uber Eats, why isn't Amazon, why aren't they being taken care of? Prime Minister, you're lying. You could do this job right now. You can find out who's working illegally. You're trying to make us China, and we see straight through you.
Love you, James, in London. Lovely, is it? Whose coat is that jacket in the middle of the dance floor? 4:23, back in 3.
It's Starmer who stokes up division by deriding ordinary British people as far-right, as racist, for expressing legitimate concerns about mass legal and illegal immigration. And it's Starmer's party that doesn't like our country and would rather wave the EU flag than our own red, white and blue union flag. It is them who don't trust the British people to decide who runs our country, thinking that Brussels bureaucrats and foreign courts can do it better.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 4:27. We're live across the UK. It's Wednesday afternoon. We've just done Plank of the Week, and the legend that is Mike Graham, another person that doesn't spout.
Listen, you're fake news.
We're not
you're
here.
Fake news.
I love this, don't
Isn't
you?
that great? Somebody sent it in to me.
I've nicked it from you.
No, I brought it in here because I thought, I wonder if I'm going to use it. I don't know. But you can imagine, you know how we're all right at the epicentre of a media company that produces some of the most amazing media, whether it's films, whether it's documentaries,
podcasts, newspapers, radio,
magazines, books. We do the whole thing, right? None of us could get it to work until I said, do you know what? I think it needs batteries.
Is that true?
Yes, absolutely true.
Well, of course it needs batteries. Even I know that. There's a hole in the bottom.
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, so Ricky went off and found some batteries, and we were like, hurrah! It took us about 15 minutes.
Sorry, the head of content went to buy some batteries.
No, he went and found... No, he sourced
found some.
We say sourced.
Let's give Ricky a round of applause. It's fantastic. Loads to talk about with you. We've just done Plank. I'm going to start differently from the Labour Party conference. I'm going to start with the most astonishing speech earlier today. I want you to look closely at the screen.
Yes.
This is Mad Ed Miliband, Mike Graham.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. He incites violence on our streets. He calls for the overthrow of our elected government. He's an enabler of disinformation through X. He thinks he can tell us how to run Britain. Conference. We have a message for Elon Musk. Get the hell out of our politics and our country.
As somebody pointed out, Andrew Warrington, thank you very much indeed. It could have been Andrew Warrington. This is the same party that sent loads of volunteers to support Kamala Harris.
It's the very same, yes. And also, he's accusing Elon Musk of inciting violence.
I'm not an Elon Musk
streets.
fan, but what's that? What hypocritical tosser?
Of course, absolutely. He's also got an account on X, by the way, Ed Miliband. You know, he does have, he does put out messages on X on a frequent basis. And if he thinks this man is so dangerous to Britain, why is he funding and helping to make the guy some money? Wouldn't you think if he was actually going to be taking a stand, then he wouldn't have an account?
And people should know, as they listen and watch that rather mad approach, that in a poll recently of Labour members, the highest approval rating at 73% is Ed Miliband.
Yeah, well, that shows you how mad they all are. They're absolutely off their trolleys. Also, talking about misinformation, how about the £300 that we're all going to save on our electricity bills that he told us?
No, they said they're going to double it by 300. Did you not? Did you mishear that?
Every time he gets asked the question, because our bills just keep going up.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Wouldn't you categorise that as misinformation? That he told us
without any shadow of a doubt.
You know.
My favourite story from Plank, which we've absolutely got front and centre of the show, is that last week Starmer went, "We're going to bring in ID cards. They're a very good idea." At that point, ID cards, 35%.
They were quite popular, weren't they?
35% of the United Kingdom, before Starmer stood up and spoke about them, wanted ID cards.
Yes.
Do you know what the figure? Well, you did. You told me. Do you know what the figure was after
It's quite low, isn't it?
But I don't know how you get there. after he spoke about them, minus 14% of the United Kingdom wants them.
Well, of course, minus 14 is quite low, but not as low as his approval rating, which is around about minus 49 or something like that.
Has there ever been a... Well, what about Liz Truss? What was she on?
Liz Truss probably was in the minus territory, because most politicians go into minus territory at some point, but they don't quite go into it, you know, by the sort of, you know, the dozens, which is what he's done. He is now the most unpopular Prime Minister that's ever been in the history of Britain. He's literally the most unpopular person.
Do you think he knows that people think he's an idiot?
He must do, because you can see the way he acts, right? When you see him being interviewed, he's got this look on his face, like he's kind of frightened. He's not sure. Is the truth coming out? His eyes. I tell you what I love is my favourite video, and we didn't actually play it this morning, and I don't know whether somebody can find it. There's a fantastic video of Rachel Reeves while he's in the middle of his speech, right? And she's sitting down in the front row, and they've all got their little flags, all brought in by Yvette Cooper, you know.
From her shed, absolutely, from the shed,
she's got at home. And at several points, she's sort of doing this because she's not sure if she should do a standing over. You know, when they all stand up, right? And Rachel, they're all looking around. Everybody around her, they're all looking around to see who's standing up. You know, and she a couple of times she goes like that, but then she doesn't stand up because nobody else is standing up, but she's kind of looking. It's the most ridiculous thing, and this is why I say they're all just a bit weird. They're all a bit odd.
There isn't any experience. There isn't any work. Have we got that video too? We haven't got that. There's no work. There's no sort of experience of the real world in any of them, because they've gone from sort of, you know, a trade union, from a polytechnic to a trade union to a think tank to a quango
Ruskin College.
Ruskin College, and I've ended up MP for Redcar. I'm very, very proud of it.
Or they've come through some charitable route, or they've come through local council, or as you say, they've just come up from, you know, being a SPAD and a special advisor.
I think it's
to somebody.
A terrible phrase.
It isn't good.
You're such a SPAD. Can I just point out, in true Mike Graham's Morning Glory fashion, we haven't got that video, but we've got an even weirder one of Ed Miliband, so we're going to play another one of Ed Miliband. Here we go.
Well, honestly, I was speechless when I woke up to your voice. No, you told me how you'd been feeling. Let's look at...
He's mincing. What's he saying? You go to check whether Reform is still talking the country down, and they're just being... What the hell was that all about?
I don't know. He's
prancing. The man's a nut job.
Maybe he hasn't enough sleep or something, you know, or maybe he's...
He's literally walking towards the camera with his arm out like he's on the catwalk.
Maybe he fell asleep in a microwave oven or something. It's done something to his brain. I mean...
Cooking the bacon, trying to get in.
Yeah, very odd man.
Very strange.
Also, the thing is, I'm really looking forward to when they can reduce the electricity bills in this country.
Why?
And the gas bills, because then when I pay his electricity bill and his gas bill in Doncaster, I won't be spending quite so much money as I do now.
I thought he had a heat pump.
No, he has a heat pump in London. He has a gas boiler in his house in Doncaster.
Shock horror, you mean he's a hypocrite?
Yes, he is. In his second home in Doncaster, he even charges the electricity bill and the gas bill to the taxpayer. So you and I are paying for his gas boiler.
You are winding me up now, aren't you?
It's a true story.
Now, yesterday, the show was extraordinary. I mean,
I heard it. It was fantastic.
Well, it all started with Starmer saying, you know, you're basically racist.
Yeah.
Cue complete bedlam, followed by nearly said the wrong thing there. Lammy knows out the chicken dippers. He was on. He said he
stopped eating long enough to give an interview.
Nigel Farage flirted with the Hitler Youth. He had to retract that. Extraordinary. But today on your breakfast show, Zia, something we actually knew about from conference. Farage had his security cut on the orders of Keir Starmer by 75%. Yes, he's paying for it privately before people jump up and down. Shouldn't have to as the leader of a political party. Is this a genuine attempt to silence this man? Because this is surely what's going to happen. I said it earlier.
You'd have to ask the question. I haven't been told that it's definitely on Starmer's orders. That may well be true. It may come out that that was what happened. But it's certainly within the realm of the parliamentary estate. So it should be certainly within the realm of the Speaker of the House, who should have some say in it. So Lindsay Hoyle might have been involved in some way. But to somehow just set... I mean, under the circumstances that we are now living... After what happened to Charlie Kirk, after the people that have been murdered, you know, politicians and people who have been attacked in politics by crazy people, this is not the time to say to an important man like Nigel Farage, who is in the line of fire, literally, we're going to take your security away. It doesn't make any sense at all.
But I do think it will go back again, and I could be missing the point, to a lot of working class, hard working class people, men and women, top to bottom in this country, who'll go, this is the establishment trying to do a job.
Absolutely.
Nigel Farage knows, I'm sure he knows, I'm sure other politicians know, specifically Farage right now, that the establishment is going to come from. Listen, I know the bloke, I tell you here and now, you know this, you know him as well. He ain't going to buckle because he believes in what he says.
But you also see the level of security that he needs when he's walking around, even a place which is relatively friendly, like the Reform Conference, you know, because you never know. people get into places, people have got sort of fanatical ideas about things, and you don't know if somebody's going to throw something over you, what they're throwing over you. You know, because people.
Well, there was the milkshake, wasn't there?
The milkshake, yeah. But imagine being in that situation.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is, right? You go all the way back to John Prescott, you know, when that guy threw an egg at him. I remember he told the story later.
Did he punch him in the face?
He punched him in the face and knocked him out. It was brilliant. It was the greatest thing he'd ever done. But the point is that it was instinct, because he said he thought he was bleeding, because he felt something running down his neck. He didn't know what it was. He thought he'd been shot. He wasn't sure. And so, you know, it's an incredibly dangerous thing to take security away from somebody who's in that situation. It really dangerous.
Joanna in Salisbury says, Jez, Mike, if Nigel Farage had his security details slashed by 75%, did any other government parties or MPs have theirs cut? No.
Probably not, no.
Natasha, is it just me, but does Miliband look like the most peculiar alien that ever landed on the earth?
He does.
Stephen Itzra says, due to yesterday's disgusting comments and behaviour by Labour, I have this morning joined Reform. I have never, ever, ever been a member of a political party before. I'm incensed by these idiots and their blatant lies and attempts to cause a politician harm by what they say. Grant's in Oldham. Jez, I find it quite ironic that yesterday I got called racist, and in a few weeks' time I will be expected to pay more in taxes due to the mess they've got us in.
Yes.
I mean, that's spot on, isn't it?
Well, there's more news for you here. There's a new poll out from More in Common, who are very accurate, very good pollsters, between the 26th and the 29th of September, which is before Starmer's speech yesterday.
Oh,
obviously.
God, before.
They've lost another 5 points, Labour. They've gone down to 20%. Reform have gone up by another 2. So they're now 10 points ahead.
It's extraordinary. Lisa Price, Jez Show, love it. You and Mike keep me sane. Talking of which, do you know Ed Miliband is the most popular Labour MP with the Labour members? Unbelievable. Says all you need to know about them. Exactly. We said that already. Tony Reeves will be gone after the budget, and Starmer will be gone after the elections in May. Maggie, the only reason Starmer's backtracked on his racist comments is because his MPs and ministers have told him it is already losing them voters to Reform. And as for that idiot Lammy, I hope Nigel reports him to the police for hate speech. That's another thing. Why didn't the police pitch up in front of Lammy saying that that's hate speech? You need to go to jail for 3 years. Lucy Connolly got done.
Why haven't they pitched up in front of Keir Starmer? Because he's talking about fighting with everything we've got against Reform. He calls them the enemy. He's basically urging people to rise up and have some kind of, you know, battle, war. You know, he's talking about being armed against them. You know, these are very strong words.
They are.
And this is the Prime Minister of this country saying them. And he shouldn't be saying them. It's irresponsible.
It's very interesting. Alan, literally hiding behind a cushion watching Ed Miliband and his comments. They're cringe. What do we look like, for Christ's sake, on the world stage with these clowns in charge? I only read this from P. Rogers because I think it's very relevant. Jez, Mike, I'm a black woman and I hate to see what's happening to our country. Illegal migration must stop. Legal migration must be paused. I am with Nigel 100%, so try calling me a racist.
I know.
That's what she just said.
This is the problem. You know, the problem with the Labour Party is they see everything through this kind of the prism of racism, right? And it's very clear that there are plenty of people here who have immigrated to this country who are not black, who are not brown, they're white. People have come here wrongly, people have come here illegally from Eastern European countries, people are living here illegally who shouldn't be here. They're not all, you know, of different colours, they're not different ethnicities.
To me, it's really, really simple.
Yeah.
And that confusion the other day when he talked about the right to remain and we're going to backtrack. No, basically what Reform are saying is, if you've come to this country like our makeup artists, like the guy that picks me up, like people you and I know, right, who've worked hard, built a business, made their kids learn the language, fantastic. I'd give you citizenship in a heartbeat. But if you come here with your dependents to screw us with you've never worked, your benefits are through the roof, your kids are being looked after, and people who've lived here all their life and paid their tax are getting nothing. No, that's where that's got to change. That's not racist.
But also, Reform have never said that any of those people that you describe as making a contribution are going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. That's not Reform policy. Reform policy is to go after people like, you know, the nephew that we talked about of the Taliban leader in Afghanistan.
Oh, you'll love this.
Who's coming into this country and has been living here for a while. He's now been told you're allowed to bring 7 members of your family, including his parents, his sister, and a couple of nieces and nephews.
A Taliban nephew of
He's a nephew of a Taliban commander.
Well, how's he living here then?
Because apparently they wanted him to join the Taliban. He didn't want to join it. He said that he's not a jihadi.
So he's too traumatised, so he's come to England.
So he's come to Britain, where he can not be a jihadi, presumably in Ealing, in a nice hotel, with the rest of his family, none of whom speak English, by the way, and who will end up costing us an absolute fortune.
Russ says, why does Starmer walk like he's wearing a nappy and has just pooed himself? This show doesn't reach any levels. Maybe, I don't know.
I've got an explanation for that, but I'll have to tell you off the air.
And finally, Martin Allen's obviously missed the point. He says, you two need to start a double act. Fantastic listening and a great show. Martin's in Nottinghamshire. Martin, we have our first live show.
We We do.
Is it true that they've opened up a third tier and there's a few tickets left?
There's a third tier. You know, we're not content with Keir Starmer's two tiers. You know,
see what we did there?
2 tier. We've got a third tier, and you can go there, and it's quite a long way away, and it's quite high up. But I mean, you know, it's the only place you can get a ticket.
You can watch us with binoculars. No, listen, there are a few tickets left. Ticketmaster is Saturday. Saturday, the
15th.
Thank you very much. Of November. It's the O2 Shepherd's Bush Empire, where Terry Wogan. Hello there, welcome to Terry Wogan.
Where Terry Wogan has played, where all sorts of famous people have. Have you?
The other day.
I didn't know you had a wig here with his name on it.
No. Anyway, there are a few tickets left. Ticketmaster.com. It's going to be a night to remember. It might be. I think it'll be good. We're already talking about dates next year.
We are.
These tickets.
We're already talking about a Christmas show.
Are we?
Yeah.
What are we going to do at Christmas?
Oh,
we'll only nearly said the wrong thing there. We'll fill your stocking. Don't
Three
worry.
wise men and a virgin.
Well, I don't think you'll find the
Not
latter
in Shepherd's Bush.
No, not in Shepherd's Bush. Joe, are you up for? Are you available on the 22nd of December?
Maybe we could get one of Keir Starmer's donkeys. What do you think?
Before, I'm sorry, I know you want to go to a break. You have to listen, Drive Time crew, to this is the story of the week.
The donkey story. Donkeygate. So, Keir Starmer, back in 1996, he's making quite a bit of money. He says he's a lawyer, been quite successful. The average annual income in those days was £15,000, right?
National minimum, wage,
not minimum wage, but average wage, right?
Yeah.
He has £20,000 to spare. His mother's not terribly well. His father's a toolmaker, as you know, living in Surrey. You know, this also tells the lie to his claim that he's a working class kid, right?
Yeah.
Because he was never a working class kid. He went to a school which is now a fee-paying school, independent school. He got a scholarship, but nevertheless, he was quite well off. Anyway, so he buys this field behind the parents' house, which is a 7-acre field, quite a big field. And he says he buys it for them in order so that they can put donkeys in it. Because apparently his mother was quite keen on donkeys.
Stroking donkeys.
And his father as well quite liked
Who
them,
was
right?
hung like...
So he buys 4 donkeys, right? Don't know what their names were, right? But what he doesn't do is give them the field as a gift, right? But when he appeared on Laura Kuenssberg's show on Sunday morning on the BBC, he said it was a gift to my parents. It wasn't a gift to his parents because you know what he did? He kept control of the field and he loaned the field to them. And do you know why he did that? To avoid both inheritance tax from their perspective and from his perspective, right? And I've known many tax experts who have told me the only thing that could have happened when he did that was it was creating a trust for the property so it wouldn't be taxable.
I've got to go, but tell him how much he sold it for.
He sold it for £320,000, so he made £300,000, and the jury is still out apparently on whether he paid capital gains tax on that.
Donkeygate. Thank you, Michael. Tomorrow morning.
Sorry.
Eeyore. So what was that? Breakfast tomorrow morning. What's
Breakfast
on?
tomorrow. No idea.
He's on tomorrow at 6. We're back in 3.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Time for a man I haven't seen for a couple of weeks. The legend former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley.
Good afternoon.
Racist.
Racist, aren't we all?
Racist.
Aren't we all? Because may I just mention,
yes,
seeing as you've just called me that title, you know,
you are, according to Keir Starmer.
Well, I'm going to have to wear it as a badge of honour, aren't I, regrettably?
Well, I don't think it is it?
May I just point out
that
in the last 4 days alone, 1,899 illegal migrants have come to the UK on a total of 27 boats.
Yeah, but you see, we can't say that's wrong, because if we say that's wrong, we're racist.
Yeah, and of course, as Starmer said yesterday, to want to tackle migration is what he called a reasonable cause. Talk about kind of diluting it.
Mate, he is in knots. Yesterday was astonishing. I want to ask you specifically loads of stuff, but I want to start with the news today. Mikey and I think Ryan, you as well, we knew that Farage's security had been cut by almost 75% at the behest, by the way, of, it seems, the government. The Home Office, Ryan, you tried to get hold of them. They say, we're not talking about individual cases. Of course they're not talking about individual cases. People will say, this is an outrage. Others will say, he can afford to do it. That is utterly, utterly disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the newspapers this afternoon has put a price tag on Mr Farage's security at £1 million a year.
Add some noughts.
Yes, indeed. That's way out of kilter. It will cost a lot more than that because, of course, you have to remember, not only does he have a team with him 24 hours a day, but when he's away from home, he should have a residential security team at his property as well. So £1 million is way, way short of what the cost actually should be.
And I've never known the precedent whereby a Prime Minister says to the leader of another political party, I'm cutting you out. I mean, you watched yesterday. We're going to go to a break in a minute. We've got loads more to talk about. But I have to say, I watched it open mouth. You're a patriotic man. I thought the most farcical part of the speech was when he said that Nigel Farage and Reform voters, Reform, you know, fanatics, whatever you want to call them, are all an anti the United Kingdom. This is a man who gave away the Chagos Islands, for Christ's sake.
Drivel. Absolute drivel. But they are the words of a desperate man and a desperate party. And we saw that yesterday with the stupid insults that Lammy came out with and utter nonsense.
He backtracked on the Adolf Hitler movement, didn't he?
Yeah, well, they know that they are really up against it because Reform are trouncing them in the polls, as we all know, day after day, week after week, when these polls come out. They are terrified.
Have you ever seen anything in all... Because you're much older than all of us, obviously. Have you ever seen anything like this? Seriously, because I haven't.
No, I've never seen this in politics. I've never seen it sink so low. And I've never seen a Prime Minister who, let's remember, in recent times, called himself a hard man, right? Okay,
hard man.
Starmer, the hard man, really.
Would you have been frightened of meeting him when you were...
Couldn't knock his way out of a wet paper bag. Couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding, as my dad would say.
Oh.
Right? Okay, he calls himself a hard man, and yesterday, what does he call for? A fight. He called for a fight. Well, as I've always taught my kids, never start a fight that you can't finish.
What was it, get out of a skin? What's the...
Couldn't knock his way out of a wet paper bag and couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding.
Hold that thought, PB and me are back next in 3. We're coming back.
I think David Lammy must resign immediately, and then I would call upon Merseyside Police to carry out an investigation into the Labour Party that there are a large number of offences, and I don't want to get bogged down in technicalities, that the public broadly know is incitement to violence. And I think we've seen them at the Labour Party conference. I think that's disgraceful. I have friends in the Labour Party. I have friends on the left. I hope that they are utterly shocked and disgraced.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Here with Peter Blexley. Quickly, Pete. Sandriana says, afternoon, JK. Hubby and I have booked tickets to see Mr. Blexley in January at his gig in Notts. I love the man and his honesty. I wish the force I work for was more like him. Oh, you've still got tickets to sell, have you? Because we've sold out.
Very kind. I'm doing 110 dates.
Yeah, all right, get out, mate. Just get out, one. All right, OK, all right, yeah, all right. Well, how did that put me in my box? Just what we talked about, Nigel Farage's security issues. Do you believe that what happened yesterday incited violence as an ex-policeman?
When you say you're going to fight someone, OK, there's obvious connotations that can be taken from that. And I don't blame Mr. Farage in the slightest for making a reference to Charlie Kirk and that appalling murder. Let's look at our own country. Sir David Amis, Joe Cox. Yeah. Politicians are facing danger. Both of them murdered in their surgeries. Yeah. It is very irresponsible to start saying about fight. OK? Churchill said we'll fight them on the beaches and everywhere else. That was Nazis. Fight, in political terms, just ups the ante.
I think that's right. One other story that's in today, which I want to touch upon, and I think we should almost really be celebrating this. The ringleader of the Rochdale grooming gang has been jailed, along with others today, for 35 years. They used teenage girls as sex slaves. Members of the gang expected sex wherever and whenever, including in filthy flats, cars, car parks, alleyways, disused warehouses and on rancid mattresses. Some of the men groomed the victims when they worked at an old market stall in the town. Oh, God.
Yeah, Rochdale, an appalling story. Let's pick up on
Maggie Oliver.
Yes, of course, and the victims in this case, who came forward. They were 13 at the time. They are now in their 30s. I sincerely hope that today's sentences give them some crumb of comfort and that they are given every possible service and assistance required to rebuild their lives and live happily from here on in.
You know what I'm going to ask you? Why the hell did it take so long?
Well,
why are so many of these men back living in their communities in the same areas?
We know exactly why.
Why?
Because pathetic police officers, cowardly police officers, who, in my view, committed misconduct in public office by not doing anything, by social workers who regarded these children as sexually active. They got arrested for prostitution, some of these kids, when they were as young as 10. I mean, it's beyond lunacy. But on a positive note, Detective Chief Inspector Guy Laycock from Greater Manchester Police, I bow down in front of you, Governor. Thank you very much, and well done your team. These cases are complex. The victims have to be handled very sensitively, so that was clearly a brilliant prosecution, a brilliant investigation. But what I will say is there's a dark cloud on this case, one of many, in that Kazir Bashir, who was one of the men sentenced to 29 years for repeatedly raping a child, was ludicrously granted bail before the trial. So he was sentenced in his absence because guess what? He is now on the run. He is a fugitive. I call
He was
upon
given bail and he's on
bail.
the run. Why was he given bail when he was accused or about to be found guilty of sexually molesting young girls?
You would have to ask the idiots that granted him that bail. I now call upon the entire mainstream media to put his photograph in every newspaper, on every website. I urge
Have they not? Have they not?
We'll have to wait and see. I urge Crime Stoppers, Greater Manchester Police, let's have a reward. I urge the Home Office to exercise their political power, the Foreign Office, and say to Pakistan, because I strongly suspect that's where he's gone. If
you think he's got out of the country?
I strongly suspect.
What's his name?
His name is, let me just get this absolutely right, Kazir Bashir. He's 50 years old, previously lived in Napier Street East, Oldham, born in Pakistan. He was convicted of repeated counts of rape and indecency with child B.
But we gave him bail and he's done a runner and he was found guilty and sentenced to 29 years. What is wrong with our justice system? Jesus, man, I can't do this anymore.
Let's find Kazir Bashir.
Absolutely
Let's get him behind bars where he can rot.
Good man. Lovely to see you, dear boy. How are QP? Look at a green shirt today. It's a bit of a different view, isn't it?
As somebody described, sage. Anyway, we won 3 and
That
drawn
was
1
Jodie, wasn't
of
it?
our last
Was it
4
Jodie?
games. I can't disclose my sources.
Well, she just told me it was, for Christ's sake. Peter Blacksley, the legend that is the ex-Met Police. Well, he's just the voice of Pete. Jesus Christ. You should be running the police in the United Kingdom. Once 5 o'clock, we're live across the UK on Talk Drive. 0344 499 1000. After the news at 5, Layla Cunningham, Westminster City Councillor for Reform UK, will respond to the news about what was said about the leader yesterday, Nigel Farage. All of that coming up after the news at 5, which is next on Talk Drive.
Do you think it's a racist policy?
Well, I do think it is a racist policy. I do think it's immoral. It needs to be called out for what it is.
According to Keir Starmer, if you think young men that illegally cross the English Channel should be detained and deported, you're racist. In fact, if you even criticise any element of the immigration policies of the last 2 governments, you're racist. And yet the Home Secretary, Shubham Mahmood, tries to copy our policies.
Patriotism, a force for good, is turning into something smaller, something more like ethno-nationalism, which struggles to accept that someone who looks like me and has a faith like mine can truly be English or British.
Britain is being invaded. Thousands of fighting-age men from countries that despise Britain continue to arrive on our beaches. Our plan is the only appropriate response to a national security emergency. Immediate removal. Deportation is the ultimate deterrent.
Our flags flying proudly as we celebrate difference and oppose racism.
Labour says these policies are racist and immoral, and by implication, Reform supporters, Reform voters, Reform sympathisers are racist too. Yes, if you think we should control our borders, you are, by the definition of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, all racists.
We can all see that the country faces a choice, a defining choice. Britain stands at a fork in the road. We can choose decency, or we can choose division, renewal or decline.
To accuse countless millions of being racist is a very, very low blow. Why? Well, this language would incite and encourage the radical left. I'm thinking of Antifa and other organisations like that. It directly threatens the safety of our elected officials and our campaigners. And frankly, in the wake of the Charlie Kirk murder, I think this is an absolute disgrace.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, hour 2 of Drive for Wednesday. We're live across the UK. This is JK. Thanks for tuning in. Loads of you wanted to be part of the debate. We'll get you on. Calls on 0344 419 1000. Text to 87222. Start your message with the word talk in a tick. The brilliant Layla Cunningham, Westminster City Council for Reform UK. But just cut the music because I want to share with you, my 11 listeners, the sort of BS that I have to deal with during the breaks. Ryan is an amazing producer. Doesn't have the most dynamic personality, I'm not going to lie. Wouldn't say... Could play a good straight man. This is what he said to me during the break. I said, it's not looking great weather-wise. Who names these hurricanes? There's one called Amy on the way. He went, yeah. It might ruin my trip this weekend. I was going to Dunfermline with some friends in Scotland to watch some football, have a few McEwens and come home. But if it's that windy, I might not go. If I do go, I'll FaceTime you from there. I would rather eat my own poo, frankly, than get you to FaceTime me. Please don't be ridiculous. 0344 419 1000. Loads of you trying to get on. Really appreciate that. Loads and loads of response. We'll get to you. The news being still dominated by the fiasco that was the Labour Party conference. You had Starmer calling every single person who's a Reform voter basically a racist. He's rode back on that. You had Lammy saying that Nigel Farage had flirted with the Adolf Hitler young movement, although that wasn't possible because it was disbanded 25 years before Nigel Farage was born. You've had Ed Miliband out today saying, Elon Musk, get out of our politics. We know what we're doing. I'm not sticking up for Elon Musk. This is the same party that sent lots of volunteers to America to help that dreadful woman Kamala Harris be battered by Donald Trump. So, loads to talk about, and we're delighted. I saw her last time on stage, but I obviously made no impression because last time she called me Kyle. Layla Cunningham, Westminster City Council for Reform UK. Welcome to Drive.
Hello, Jeremy. How are you?
Well, you're a racist, aren't you? Let's be honest, you're a racist, and apparently so am I. We're racist. How do you feel about that, Layla Cunningham?
If wanting border control, wanting people to come here and pay their way, then fine, I'm racist. Call me whatever you want. In fact, I feel the more insults come our way, the more we're galvanised and we realise that we're fighting for this country. And to call us racist, to call Nigel Farage as leader of the country, to call millions of people that support him and to call him a racist and a danger to this country is one of the most irresponsible things I feel a leader has ever done. I was utterly gobsmacked yesterday. We have to continue it today because, of course, he's rode back today, which is got him even more of a pickle in my mind. Because yesterday, you know, I'm going to fight. That's incendiary, and this man is anti-British, which is that was almost the worst thing in my mind. And then basically, so stupid is he that he's saying to 15 million people, "You're racist." And then today, even more confusing. No. Nigel Farage is not a racist, he's a formidable man. I'm not calling these people racist, I'm just saying the policy is. But surely, Layla, by supporting a policy that's been labelled racist, that would mean you support racism, so you'd be a racist, or am I missing the point? Of course, no, you're not missing the point. And he knew exactly what he was doing. He did that to galvanise his base, and I think it probably did, because I heard comments on the radio and so forth. The base was galvanised. They were happy. And his cabinet members doubled down on it. Didn't Shabana Mahmood say it was worse than racism? For God's sake, what's worse than racism? But when leaders of our country smear millions of ordinary people as racist or a danger to this country, it's no longer politics, Jeremy. It is reckless, because some people might take that seriously. If you convince them that their neighbour is a threat or racist, some might do whatever it takes to silence them. And that, for me, incites division and violence. And some people say, oh, but you believe in free speech. It is not the same as a government trying to regulate free speech across the country.
Well, talk about regulating free speech. A friend of mine, an ex-Labour advisor and a great commentator, Matthew Torbit, was on this show last night. He dared to come on Talk several times in another station, GB News. No point in me not saying that. And he got to the barrier yesterday with all of his mates and his partner to find that his powers have been revoked because they don't want his ilk criticising them. What does that mean for free speech, then?
Well, well, they don't believe in free speech, do they? We know that.
No.
And that's why their support is collapsing. People don't want a government to take freedoms as they choose. People want a government that's going to protect our freedoms. And that's not what they're doing. Only dictators take freedoms without asking.
You know, you talk about division and the fear yesterday. I mean, Nigel's response was pretty rapid. He came out and he said that he thought it was irresponsible, that he'd taken plenty of knocks himself personally, but what Starmer was doing was insulting millions of people who feel, you know, a bond with reform. I mean, we knew this. I knew this at conference. I'm sure you did as well. The Prime Minister, the Home Office, whoever, took away 75% of Nigel Farage's security 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yes, it's being paid for. It's massively expensive through donors and private donations. But what does that tell you? Does that, as a reform counsellor, I think one of the biggest questions that I get asked to ask people like you is, it all sounds great, people will say. We completely agree, but we all know, this is what they're saying, that the establishment, be that the BBC, the police, liberal institutions, the mainstream media, are going to put it on Farage, and it's going to ramp up, and people always say to me, has he got the desire? Are the people around him? How do you put up with all of this? You have to have a really strong belief, I guess, in what you're saying, Layla.
I mean, yeah, and, you know, someone asked me the other day, you know, what do you think's wrong with our leaders? I said, well, they're not conviction politicians. I have no idea what Kemi or stands for, but I know, and I think all the country knows exactly what Nigel Farage stands for, and he stands for always putting our country first. And he's, you know, dedicated the past 30 years with a lot of attempted political assassinations to put this country first. And finally, we have sovereignty from the EU, thanks to Nigel Farage. And the truth is that all reform and Nigel want, we just want fairness, order and integration. Whereas Labour, they argue with that by insulting voters as racists. And what by the way, Jeremy, adopting the kind of same policy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing was one or two comments today that what Starmer said, that the boats that are bringing in, and I think that we had a figure, 27 boats and 1,893 or 4 people in the last 2 days. Starmer says these are Farage's boats, because if he hadn't won the Brexit deal, which meant that we take people all from Europe now, whereas before we had returns agreements with other countries. I'm just going to give my 2 penny worth. Under Boris Johnson and under this lot, I'd have made it my #1 priority to reorganise deals as they did with Albania. That's a pitiful excuse. Brexit's done. That's how the British people voted for. I don't believe there's been an understanding or a will to stop the boats. But I thought that yesterday, weirdly, the racist thing, yeah, great, I started with that. I thought the most shocking thing said about Nigel Farage and reform was that they're unpatriotic. This is from a bloody man who gave away the Chagos Islands, for Christ's sake, 16 billion quid, to the point where I found out the other day that the Mauritian people, do you know this, Layla, are not paying any tax for 12 months.
I know that. Don't forget, this is from a leader who said very clearly, in no uncertain terms, that he prefers Davos to our great parliaments. How dare he say that? And yet again, here he goes undermining Brexit, one of the biggest democratic votes in our history. And frankly, Starmer still can't accept it. And what, is he blaming the small votes on the people that voted for it? You don't fix the border by blaming democracy. And I think people are really sick and tired, people who voted for Brexit, to be blamed for every problem that Britain faces since.
Isn't the truth about Brexit that the British people, 52% of them voted for it? I'm just sat right on the fence here. But a succession of governments, including bloody Boris Johnson, didn't implement it as it was supposed to be implemented. That's the whole point. It's never been allowed to happen, has it?
Exactly that. I mean, we still have the ECHR, we still are Strasbourg, we still have all of EU regulation wedded to ours. They haven't done anything that they promised. In fact, I feel I have to go out and defend Brexit just because it hasn't been implemented. And that's why I think we need a party that will finally put to rest how great Brexit can be for our country, and only reform will prove that.
You brought up Kemi Badenoch. I mean, to me, it was astonishing. The other part of the astonishment, well, there was lots of astonishment yesterday at my age. I get quite excited quite quickly. But Her Majesty's opposition with 121 seats wasn't even mentioned by our Prime Minister, who's got a stonking 180-seat majority. He found the time, the whole hour, as did Ed Davey, to basically go for a man who's only got 5 MPs, and that includes himself. It's astonishing.
You know what was even funnier? And actually, I don't laugh out loud a lot, but I did at this video. It was a video of Kemi after in an interview saying the only reason why Ed Davey and Starmer are mentioning reform is because they don't believe that they can beat a renewed Conservative Party.
God.
And
I have this argument.
And that's why they're framing reform as the opposition. I mean, the delusion, the entitlement to power. They never asked themselves why they lost.
Well, hold on. Now I'm going to jump in because I've asked this of every single Tory that's ever come on this bloody show, and I always say, sorry, can I just be... Oh, look, there they are, the Labour Party waving their flags. That apparently makes them patriotic idiots. Here's the thing I don't get about the Conservatives, and I've said it to everybody. We've got Jonathan Gullis here, former Deputy Chair, after this call. Why on earth are you still having a debate amongst yourselves, or a review, or a whatever you call it, as to where you went wrong? That's what you get told by Kemi Badenoch's office. No, she's not coming on. She's in the middle of a review. In the last 15 months, I could have told her on day one where it went wrong. They didn't do what they said to the British people they would do, and the British people stopped listening, and frankly, they could have offered us, I think, anything, and it wouldn't have worked. But the fact about Nigel Farage, this isn't just all about him. He's on the front foot. She's going to pitch up at her conference, and I guarantee she's going to make a big thing about we're leaving the ECHR. And as Jack Elsom from The Sun said earlier, political editor, Farage mentioned that 6 months ago. Everybody's going to go, what are you talking about? She can't lead. I actually think they're a busted flush, and I never thought as a Tory all my life I would say that.
I mean, you're right. Effectively, Tories voted for one thing and got the complete opposite. Don't forget, the woke madness flourished under them. Illegal crossings and hotel rooms where they were housed flourished under them. Housing basically stopped. The Boris wave was under them. Law and order literally collapsed. Highest taxation since World War II. I mean, you name it, they failed on it. And then they have the audacity, Labour and them, to smear Nigel Farage as a con artist. He's been right on Europe, right on immigration, and right on the failures of the Westminster elite, Labour and Conservatives, who basically ignored the public's votes. They forgot who they serve.
I think I would agree with you wholeheartedly in that. I mean, I've said it every day on this show. I think, sorry, again, Ryan's going to raise his eyes, I guess, but it's the silent majority. They've woken up and realised their voice can be heard. They're sick and tired of being trampled over and taken for granted. Yes, of course we should do whatever we can as and when we can do it, but we're skint. This country can't afford its interest on its debts. We all know that. So if you're taking from people who are paying in and giving it to people who shouldn't be here, at the end of the day, you're talking about a powder keg of emotion. Here's a brilliant stat for you later. I bet you haven't heard this. Digital IDs was a big thing on Friday, Keir Starmer. Didn't mention the speech yesterday. This might be to do with the fact there was an opinion. Have you heard about this? Brilliant. When he stood up to speak on Friday about digital IDs, before he uttered a word, 35% of the United Kingdom in a poll said they were in favour of digital IDs. Watch Lady Cunningham's face. On the following day after his speech, right, talking about digital IDs, a new poll suggested that minus 14% of the United Kingdom now agree with digital... That's a fact, that's a poll. How you get to minus 14? The man has got the reverse Midas touch.
Didn't he? And he got that in 24 hours.
24 hours, it went from 35% approval to minus 14. How do you get to minus 14% of 100 is actually in favour of something? I mean, it's extraordinary.
I mean, obviously it's collapsing because people see it for what it is. It's citizen control. Nobody believes that you stop migrants working illegally with some kind of digital ID. You don't stop a drug dealer with a digital ID. You don't stop an illegal worker with a digital ID. You stop them at the border. And they should focus on protecting our borders, not micromanaging our lives. And, you know, Jeremy, I've said this before, we cannot allow the government to take our liberties under the guise of safety. Only dictators govern that way. And to impose digital ID without a democratic mandate, it's a dictatorship.
If you look at almost...
Sorry, that's the kids coming back from school, if that's the doorbell.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. I know you've got to go. You've got to go. Just one fun... You know what I'm going to ask you, don't you?
Go on. Go for it.
You're going to be the Mayor of London, aren't you? You're going to take Sadiq Khan on.
Oh, I'd love to take him on. I think
it would be...
If I'm asked, I'll do it, I think.
I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. I hope the kids had a good day at school. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Never had a good day at school. I always ask them what happened. What did you do at school? Nothing, Mum.
Yeah, do you know what my son says? So, how was your day, Oliver? I had rice pudding. So it's just about what you had for lunch, yeah?
Oh, they love to talk about lunch, you're right. How bad it was, actually, mine.
My kids get a menu. I just used to get a sausage roll. They get a menu. You have a salad bar and everything. It's quite posh.
We used to get, like, mashed potatoes and peas.
We used to get tapioca. Oh, this is a boring conversation. Layla, good luck. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Layla Cunningham, Westminster City Councillor for Reform. Many people in the party believing she might stand for mayor in London. Her against Sadiq Khan would be a look, wouldn't it? 521 0344 499 1000. Some calls on the way. Jez, Super Show. Hope Nigel's not relegated to the balcony at the cenotaph on Remembrance Day like last year. He needs his own wreath and perhaps he can borrow Starmer's poppy when that man takes his off. Ooh. Daryl, poor Ryan. He has so much to put up with. What, going to Dunfermline? Yeah. Imagine the people have to go with him to Dunfermline. That'd be... I mean, Dunfermline's depressing enough to actually have to share the journey with Ryan. Honestly, how was your weekend? I went to Dunfermline. Oh. How was it? We went with Ryan. Oh, Jesus. Great show, as always. Can't believe the brass neck of Starmer saying Nigel doesn't like Britain and Lammy associating with Hitler. This is a man who removed his poppy and said he prefers Davros, says JW. Peter Bromley, it's all getting very sinister in my mind. Farage was right. That idiot is not fit for office. Mark Hedges. Do you think he ever strims? Oh, rubbish. Fantastic summing up, guys. Historical. Marking Dudley. Dudley. Do you know the other person from Dudley? This is brilliant. I found this out today. Watch Jodie's face when I tell you this. Do you know the next person in my sights? Lenny Henry has written a book. Right, ready for this? Lenny Henry, who comes from Dudley, has written a book saying that the United Kingdom should pay back £19 trillion in reparations to African countries. 19 trillion! We're skint already. Why don't you use your fee? Speak to your mates at Comic Relief. I'm losing the will to live. Keith in Lincolnshire says, great show. The front row of the Labour conference trying to impress us, waving their flags with their limp wrists. Nothing wrong with a limp wrist. My wrists are racking, to be honest. Whilst Labour councillors are going around taking flags down. Very true. See, great point there. And also Dazza in Twickenham. All right, Dan. Calling it as MG likes to. Starmer goes, Kemi goes, Robert Jenrick, new Tory leader, Reform Tory coalition with Nigel as PM. Dazza in Twickenham, 520. If you want to be on 0344 499 1000, we'll go to Lincoln, actually. See a message from Lincoln. Victoria, my wife's gone to Lincoln. Hello, Vic.
Hello.
Doesn't sound like my wife. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, good. How are you? It's all gone very strange. Oh.
Fake news. Listen, what I wanted to say was about that Labour conference.
Listen, you're being rude. You're fake news. You're fake news. Stop being rude. You're fake news.
I'm joking. Come on, Vic. Crack on.
We spent decades, all of my life, being silenced about talking about mass immigration. Laws were passed. We'd been subdued by the media. And at last, because it's got so bad, we're actually having a referendum on it. That's, in fact, what Keir Starmer more or less declared yesterday. It's his battle. He wants to make it not in Parliament, but on the streets. He is the one who's divisive between people. It's a very, very dangerous thing to have done, but that's in effect what it has now become.
I agree with you, and I think, I mean, I've said on many occasions on this show that 10 years ago, Victoria, you wouldn't have been able to have had a discussion about it. You're dead right. And quite rightly, maybe, I don't know, at that time, you'd have been labelled everything. I do think... And I wake up in the morning, I think, how can I put this differently? I just think times are changing. I think if you get out, as we tend to, I think there is a feeling amongst people that, and I keep saying it, that their voices can be heard. And I think when you give, as we've always done, that doesn't make us a bad country, that makes us a good country. But when the reality strikes that, sorry, guys, we're out of money and we've got to look after our own, the good people will say, OK, this isn't great, but this is what we've got to do. The left will say, this is outrageous, you don't care about the rest of the world. Yes, of course we care about the rest of the world, but you have to care about... It's like, do I give away my money or do I feed my kids? I don't understand why people get so uppity. We seem to be under a government that would do anything for anybody else. That's what I found, the comment about, you know, reform is anti-British. What can be more than anti-British than giving away your own sovereignty, giving away money so that Mauritians don't pay any income tax, making sure that you employ left-wing human rights lawyers and judges that allow people who have committed crimes against young English girls to stay in this country, and a judge says, oh, he's had a hard upbringing. What, that led him to rape, did it? How utterly awful is that to hear? Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think what has happened gradually over the last 3 or 4 years is the idea that the primary duty of government is not to push the people so far that they become ungovernable.
Yeah, completely.
They must not do that to us.
Am I allowed to ask, with being as respectful as possible, how old are you, Vic?
No, of course not. You can't ask a lady that.
No, that's why I'm asking you. How old are you?
Can you keep a secret?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody listens to this rubbish anyway. Go on.
Well, so can I. I'm sorry.
Oh, very good. You've got my crew are laughing their head off at you. I like you. That was wrong.
Such fake news.
I love you. But listen, thank you so much indeed for calling. I really appreciate. I agree with everything that you've said, and I think we're at a seminal moment, don't you?
Oh yes, and God bless Talk Radio and GB News, and for actually allowing us to have a voice.
It's always important, darling. Thank you so much. I don't care how old you are. You talk great sense. See you later. Thank you so much indeed. Right, Victoria from Lincoln, 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Text to 87222. We're back with Jonathan Gullis, former deputy chair of the Tory party, is next on Talk Drive.
We've had a bit of a disaster this morning. A scaffolding company that were supposed to put our stage up pulled out at 6:30.
No.
And they said that it would be bad PR.
Oh, you're joking?
No.
That's unbelievable.
So we explained that. I explained to them and said, look, this is, we're expecting 800, 1,000 women.
Yeah.
And why is it bad PR? It's good PR, if anything. And he said, no, we can't be associated with the right, quote unquote.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. It's just gone. No, it hasn't. It's 5:27. We're live across the UK on the home of free speech and common sense. In the studio is a man. Don't put the camera on. I worked with about 30 years ago. God, he looks old and knackered. Adam Bridge in the building. Nice to see you. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Layla Cunningham is an absolute superstar. She will make a fantastic mayor or MP in a Reform UK government, says Sue. Mark Hedges, good afternoon. It's fair to say, he said that ID cards are the new way of the Labour Party saying welcome to the communist states, is Mark in Dudley. Some bloke from Dunfermline's been on saying you trash Dunfermline. Listen, I'm sure Dunfermline's an exciting place. It was just, do you understand humour? It's like, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Jethro. He always finishes every show when he was alive, because he's dead now, so he wasn't obviously doing any stand-up. He's doing a lot of lying down. He used to say, if I've said anything that's offended you at all, I hope you've taken it in the right way, because it's just meant as a bit of fun. If it did offend you, then he can do one. 0344 419. Oh, Jonathan Gullis. SM Garden Maintenance. Stephen in Manchester. What's our free advert? Jonathan Gullis really should come over to Reform. Well, that could be a question I put to him in just a tick. Margaret, Mad Ed Miliband. Blimey, how scary is he? I'm sure Elon Musk is shaking his boots. Not. Bunch of morons on the front bench. Don't be disrespectful. The Labour Party are waving their flags. Can we please play that? Actually, I'll start by saying a very good afternoon to a man who I'm going to harangue until he leaves the Conservative Party. And former Deputy Chair, Jonathan Gullis, good afternoon.
Oh, hey, mate, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Oh, God, are you all right? You look like you're in prison. What's going on? Are you all right?
No, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I got rid of the white, just the pure white background with the white polo when I had the bobbing head last time we were on. So
it all looks really weird now. It looks like you look like Mr. T. You've got this sort of bit of hair and there's nothing else there. It's all gone hopelessly wrong. It's like a scene from... Oh, I can't say that. Right, now listen, you used to be an MP. I don't want to kick you when you're down. But today we've seen a video that even I am like this. This is Ed Miliband earlier at conference, at the Labour Party conference. Red Ed, have a watch.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. He incites violence on our streets. He calls for the overthrow of our elected government. He's an enabler of disinformation through X. He thinks he can tell us how to run Britain. Conference. We have a message for Elon Musk. Get the hell out of our politics and our country.
Jonathan, unless I've missed the point, I need to just put some sort of angle on this. Ed Miliband, who's mad, has an X account. And I'm pretty sure that the Labour Party sent lots of volunteers over to America during the presidential election to fight for Kamala Harris against the Orange Man baby. Isn't that true?
Yes. I mean, Jeremy, that little stunt that Ed Miliband performed there, which I'm sure looked cool to him in front of the mirror in the morning before he gave that speech, reminds me of the David Brent sketch from The Office where you go, "Ooh, you're hard, aren't you?" You know, that's all I can think of when I see that pathetic moment. And by the way, he said, "Get out of our country." Is that racist? I don't know. I mean, is this a racist comment? Who knows what is racist?
Well, let's talk about the big news yesterday, because I thought it was... by the way, I've got a new button.
Come on, you are fake news. Okay, you're fake news.
Yeah, thank you, Don. Yesterday was, and you know, politically you have antennae, which I don't think our Prime Minister does. Yesterday was, in my mind, one of the biggest political gaffes I think I've ever seen. Essentially what he did was he called millions of people who've said that they're interested in looking at what Nigel Farage is doing, called them racist. Today he's rode back and said, no, I wasn't saying they're racist. And I wasn't saying Nigel Farage is racist. I was saying the things that they think are good policies are racist, which essentially would mean, if I agree with something, that would make me a racist as well. And then we had the unedifying sight of David Lammy, who left Kentucky Fried Chicken to actually speak out. And he said, and I quote, Nigel Farage, who once flirted with the Adolf Hitler movement, which ended 25 years before Nigel Farage was born. I look at them today waving their flags on the front bench while Labour councils are taking them down, and I think to myself, I don't think I've ever seen a bunch of more... And God, you lot were bad, but this is appalling by anybody's standards, isn't it?
I mean, Nigel Farage is living rent-free in his head. He might have to actually declare this for the Register of Interest in Parliament, because that many Labour MPs all wanting to talk about Nigel Farage and desperate to have their moment of trying to act the hardest on interview. I mean, Shabana Mahmood saying that Nigel Farage is worse than a racist. Well, what is that?
What is worse than a racist?
Well, Jeremy, this is a question I'd love to know the answer to. Then, as you say, David Lammy saying that Nigel Farage flirted with the Hitler Youth and couldn't even find it within himself to apologise, all while they said, we're not going to play the man, we're going to play the ball. Well, I'm not sure how those things entwine somehow. And then Sir Keir Starmer banging on endlessly about Nigel Farage, because ultimately he realises he's fighting for his life. And what was, to be fair to Sir Keir Starmer, a good speech for his audience, the Labour Party members. He saw off the threat of Andy Burnham. As you say, he should be walking away going, overall, I've survived what could have been a quite tricky conference. Instead, what he's managed to do is turn into a massive row, giving ultimate free publicity to Nigel Farage and demonise, as you say, millions, and I mean millions of voters across the country who want to control both legal and illegal...
Oh, look, he's hugging his wife. She's turned up for once. No comment or I'll get sued. I agree with that. And what I find astonishing is, and we talk all the time about SPADs and special advisors, is that nobody actually spoke into his ear and said, you do realise that if you take the fight to the man, you're going to be labelling all of those people. I think we know that Lammy is a disgrace. Today, by the way, I mean, I knew this because I was at their conference, as you know, working. They've admitted, Zia announced on Mike Graham this morning, that Nigel Farage had his security cut by 75%. It's being privately funded now by donors. I mean, that would tell you everything. All the people who get accused of, conspiracy theorists, is when you say the institutions are coming after Farage. That's a disgraceful way. To stand up and say that when you've also, been responsible for him losing that is hugely irresponsible, isn't it?
Of course it is. And at the end of the day, especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk, we have to be seriously careful about what we say. Yes, politics, there's rough and tumble.
Yeah.
But you should be playing the ball, not the man. And to be fair to Nigel Farage, he continuously actually speaks positively. He defended Angela Rayner as a person. He said Sir Keir Starmer, he thinks he's a perfectly decent chap personally, just thinks he's a terrible leader. Yet the Labour Party think it's perfectly acceptable to demonise anyone, particularly those on the centre-right, in order, whether that be calling them scum or calling them racist or calling them Nazis, in order to somehow try and gain political favour. Because the problem with the Labour Party, the reason I despise the Labour Party, is because everyone in it who's a member or a member of Parliament generally believes they're the good guys. They generally think they're better and holier than thou than everyone else. Yet we saw, and let's not forget, Jeremy, the Labour Party is in league with the BNP by being found guilty for not handling racism within its own party by the Equality Human Rights Commission in this country. There's only two parties, Labour and the BNP, who have ever been found guilty of failing to deal with racism internally, and it's both those parties. So when Labour want to throw out slurs and slander, and Sir Keir Starmer wants to act hard, he should remember he stood side by side Jeremy Corbyn the entire time, the man who dragged that party into an anti-Semitic cult in some ways, which led to a serious investigation in order to try and clean up the Labour Party. And Sir Keir Starmer defended Corbyn the entire time.
Couldn't agree more. Just to give you an idea, I call it the reverse Midas touch. I told this story just a minute ago, which is extraordinary. Even Adam's going to smile. Maybe he's got wind. Before Keir Starmer stood up the other day to talk about ID cards, 35% of the United Kingdom in a poll had said, we think that's a good idea. By the time he'd finished and they did another poll, do you know this? Minus 14% in the... I don't even know how you get to that. The man is becoming Sunak-esque. Nobody's listening to him. I mean, it's extraordinary. And, of course, you know me, we're mates. The story has to be asked of you. I mean, what was even more shocking yesterday was that almost the entirety of his conference speech was aimed at a man who's only got 5 MPs, of which he's 20%. Your party, Jonathan, 121 seats. Her Majesty's official opposition, not even mentioned, becoming less relevant by the day. You're going to pitch up at your conference next week, and I know exactly what Badenoch's going to go. We're leaving the ECHR, and I've said it already. All the scribes and all the mainstream media are going to go, I think you're fine. Farage said that 6 months ago, love. Where have you been? Oh, having a review. No good. No good. Come on.
No, it is bad. They deserted the field of play continuously, time after time, and allowed reform all the oxygen and the space in the world to operate. And the reality is that whilst, of course, you want to come up with policy that's considered and thought through and explainable so the public know how you want to deliver it, the truth of the matter is the Conservative Party has had to work harder than ever before just to be heard, and then try and win back trust, and then try and deliver policies that people actually believe they'll deliver. And as you know, I've said before, my worry is that Kemi Badenoch, actually, her politics is not too dissimilar to mine. Robert Jenrick, another guy that I agree with on a lot of things, but there's still a lot of those backbench Conservative MPs who, as Danny Kruger did rightly say when actually he gave his conference defecting, the only reason the Conservative Party looks united on the face of it is because at the moment there's been no policy in which to actually have to then have a debate and discussion. And when Kemi Badenoch says that we want to leave the ECHR, which is the right thing to do, something I called for years ago when I was a Member of Parliament, there will be voices like Simon Hoare, even James Cleverly, who's now in the shadow cabinet, who are going to have to explain why they've always had very different positions, and do they retain those positions, which is against leaving the ECHR, or are they suddenly willing to support the policy and therefore willing to, in some ways, sell out their own principles?
I'm not saying that politics should be about changing course with the wind, but surely what Farage convinces us all at the moment is that you have to have your finger on the pulse. Patently the Labour Party hasn't, and patently Badenoch. I mean, you know what I'm going to... When are you moving to reform then? When are you defecting?
Jeremy, this question is almost tiresome now. Look, my friend, I'm going to be at Conservative Party conference
with about 4 other people.
Maybe with a minibus, who knows? But I will be there talking with the Centre for Social Justice, who I'm proud to be a senior fellow of, as well as engaging with many members up and down the country that I know, hoping to try and put forward a positive vision for conservatism going forward. And
are you still genuinely of the belief that they can turn it round, JG? Serious question.
I think the Conservative Party, I've said it on other channels and I'll say it here, I think if they don't get their act together by the end of this calendar year, I think if they go into January 2026, where we currently are now, I think by May, there will be very little left to revive, if anything to revive at all. That will be then, for me, the final nail in the coffin for the Conservative Party. They have months.
And at that point, you'd defect to reform, yeah?
No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's appropriate for people just to jump ship for their own sake and own good. And Reform members are rightly very sceptical of anyone who wants to come over, because they don't want a bunch of careerists. They don't want to be Tory Party 2.0, and they don't deserve that. Sophie is a member I met at Reform Conference. I think she's someone who listens to the show. Sophie Hall Preston, if I remember her name correctly. She regularly talks to Reform members about what it is that they want, if any, ex-Conservative MP. So I think Reform have to be very careful about who they bring in and whether or not those people are there for the genuine...
But if you were allowed in and the Conservative Party continued to fail, you'd defect to Reform, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily, no. I've been a member of the Conservative Party my entire life, Jeremy, as you know.
Yeah, but if it stops existing, you can't be the member of something that's just patently failed. If by May they're finished...
Or, Jeremy, you can choose to just sit out entirely and be an armchair moaner and groaner, maybe.
Or you could just come and work for me. Apparently, according to the newspapers, I'm supposed to be standing. So you could be my chief of staff, JG, couldn't you?
Well, Jeremy, I'm glad to know there's job opportunities down the road.
Well, there has to be something, because it's not going great. I'm joking. Listen, my friend, we love having you on. We appreciate it. But I'm going to take a picture of you, because it looks like you are somehow representing Newcastle United. There's a sort of white bit and a black bit and a strip of hair. JG, good to have you on, my friend. 20 to 6, we're live across the UK. This is Talk Drive. The former chair of the... You can make it my life's mission, right? I'm going to get him to admit he's defecting to reform before I retire. Afternoon, Jez. I wouldn't normally criticise Mike Graham, but he made big mistake buying batteries for that blimmin' fake news gadget you keep playing with. It's really annoying. So stop it, Mark in Stratford. No, do when it's my show.
Fake news.
Oh, it was a bit short. Back in 3.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Just gone 5:45. We're live across the UK. My children, I was supposed to mention my children. They were in the car. They're probably not. Which children? Oh, God, no, I'm joking. Ollie, Molly and Iris, Daddy loves you. Home later. Your mother's fantastic. Quite funny. I'm not going to share the story this morning because it was... Anyway, there we go. 0344 499 1000. Jodie's made an absolutely outrageous accusation during the break, which I will share with you before 7 o'clock. Ryan's doing that thing with his head, which he thinks... This is what he does. He goes, I don't know about this. What's going on? This looks like a dump button moment. Let's go to the phone lines. We're going to Southend. Alex, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon.
Good evening, Jeremy.
How are you?
I've been watching you for 20 years.
You poor, deranged human being. I do apologise. Has it affected your mentality?
Oh, no, you were quite fun.
Quite fun?
It.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
what can I do for you?
The world has changed since then.
Yeah, but can you imagine being able to... I was talking to somebody today about Simon Cowell on X Factor. I remember that woman went on once and she wasn't very good and she didn't look great. And he went, you can't sing and I don't like your dress. I mean, she'd be suing him for millions now, wouldn't she? The anxiety she'd be going through.
Everything's different now. Do you know why? My eyes have opened when it was 2020 and I call that 2020 vision.
Oh.
Because my eyes have been opened. And since then, I've seen everything. I went to the bank to get money out. They ask too many questions and don't let you.
This is actually, by the way, you've now got me. You've got me absolutely at hello. I would like to just say something. Can you please tell me why, if I earn money, and you've got me now, they're going to hate you, and I pay tax on it and I put it in my bank, if I want to take out more than £250 to pay a builder or something, I get a phone call going, oh, I think you'll have to explain why. No, I don't. Sod off. It's my money.
Yeah, I feel like a criminal taking £200 out a cash machine. I'm looking around. Is the police watching me? It's become crazy. I feel like criminal holding cash. And that gets me to the digital IDs.
Oh.
It's not about immigrants. It's not about racism. First of all, I'm Iranian. My family came here in the 1980s because of the revolution in Iran.
Yes.
History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And I can see exactly what happened to Iran is happening to England and the UK.
Can I ask you a question? So you're listening to a...
whatever you want.
Yeah, all right. You're listening to a sort of centre-right station that's been talking in great detail over the last 24 hours about Nigel Farage's being attacked by the Labour Party. They say that if a man wants to control immigration, make sure our police arrest criminals, wants to deport foreign criminals from our prisons and wants people to prove that they can be of value to this country, that makes people racist. Are you of those same things? Because presumably you're Iranian, you're racist as well then.
Racist doesn't exist no more. It's all different. I told you, the world has changed. There's no racism no more. Racism was when I was 8 years old at school and there was hardly any foreigners in this country. And that was racism, but that's okay, because now, as I've grew up, I don't even get racism no more.
Do you respect this country? Are you proud of this country?
This country was the best country in the world. I was so thinking, it's a little island. How am I so lucky that we were born in this country? How is it all gone to pot? But I know how it's gone to pot. It's all about power and control. And slowly it's all been changed. So they'll say, oh, we'll bring the digital ID, because first we'll bring all the immigrants in. I know some immigrants that shouldn't even be here. And I'm thinking, why are you even here? Because the good immigrants don't come over. They haven't got the courage to come over on a boat.
Also, let's nail this. And I haven't got all day, I don't mean that rudely. If you are somebody trying to come to the United Kingdom, if you've got a viable reason, refugee status or because you're coming to work or you've got something to offer, you'd come on a bloody plane with your passport. You wouldn't come on a boat and throw your documents in the sea, would you?
Yeah, but some of them countries don't even let you out, so they block you from coming out.
I'm so glad to have you on, mate. I do have to finish, but I just want to say this. I'm really grateful for the call and keep listening, all right?
I need to get to the point.
Oh, you haven't got to the point yet. OK, go on, crack on.
Point. So they bring the immigrants in, they say, oh, bring the digital ID, it stops people working cash in hand. No, it doesn't. It stops no one. I know loads of English people that work cash in hand to pay bills, to put food on the table for their family, and now that's going to stop them. Because you need loopholes in some countries, right? So they're going to stop that because of inflation has gone through the roof, and then they're going to say, oh, well, this didn't work. People are still working illegally, foreigners using that as an excuse again. So they'll go, okay, so now we're going to get rid of cash. You've got your IDs now. So we're going to get rid of cash and try it this way. And that way it will work. Everyone's controlled. We're all trapped. And
Great. Well, you've made me feel very happy. Alex in Southend, thank you very much indeed. Let's shoot to London very quickly. You try saying that without falling over. George, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon.
Oh, I love your show. You're brilliant. Right, so...
Did we pay you to say that?
Yes.
No wonder I've got no wages today. Go on, crack on.
Yeah. So, listen...
You're being rude. You're fake news. You're fake news. Stop.
Sorry, I don't know. It keeps going off. Crack on.
There, so Starmer and his lot, what they don't get is that there is a social and cultural revolution happening. And I say that as a gay man who's married to a foreigner, an Arab, a Lebanese, and this cuts across every party and every social group, like that lovely guy you were just talking to now. I've got many Arab friends, Muslims and Christians, who say to me, and I've been for years, what is wrong with you Brits? Why are you putting up with this? You've got these groups of black lads with machetes at each other on the streets, and you do nothing about it. And I think we've reached a cultural and social point where people have said, enough. And that's what Starmer doesn't get. They don't understand that underneath their noses, this country has fundamentally changed. And it isn't just right-wingers, it's gays like me, it's my foreign husband, it's the Iranian you just spoke to. We've had enough. And I've just driven through Morden, Jeremy, and for the first time I've seen, just around the big roundabout, about 8 Union Jacks and English flags. And I thought, you know what? That's so lovely.
Two things, and you'll understand why I have to say this. It's not just black kids who have machetes, but let me say this to you. The reason I'm so pleased to take your call, I'm so pleased to take the call before. I think that this country was built on a bedrock of doing the right thing, morally, ethically, financially, whatever way you want to say. Fact of the matter is you can dress it up how you want. This country is skint, can't afford the interest on its debts, right? If you are having people come into this country who have no inclination to work, learn our language, integrate, do anything, who are simply here for a free ride, bringing in their independence, it's not long, is it, when you're skint, when people will go, hold on a second, I'm doing everything right, I'm being screwed, this has to end. That is where we're at. I think you're right. I don't think it's about sexuality or colour of your skin. I think it's been difference of right and wrong. I've talked so many times about the people that I know have come to this country, work hard, are patriotic, pay their taxes, believe in the United Kingdom. They're more angry about what's going on than I am. Great to have you on, George. Thank you very much indeed. 9 minutes to 6. Apparently we're doing sport with a man called Mike Anstead, head of sport at The Sun. Not Adam, you're out. We're back in 3. I'm off for a wee.
our country and would rather wave the EU flag than our own red, white and blue union flag. It is them who don't trust the British people to decide who runs our country, thinking that Brussels bureaucrats and foreign courts can do it better.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
5 to 6, push the button, Big D. In your own
Sports
time.
News from the Sun.
You should work at the railway, mind the gap. Mike Anstead, head of, well, you're just head of everything to do with sport, aren't you, at the Sun?
Kind of.
Can we just... Sorry, I know we shouldn't talk about last night. How good was it to see Mourinho back in the United Kingdom? How I wanted him back in the Premier League. There's just something about the man, isn't there? Love him or loathe him.
We love him. Look, he's slowly over the years morphed into a bit of a pantomime villain, but he's always been a pantomime villain. But I think last night and the day preceding it showed how much we miss him. There he was last night on the touchline telling the Benfica fans to lay off Enzo Fernandez. He's hugging and kissing the kind of old stalwarts who have been in the Chelsea press room for 50 years. Hugs everywhere. Look, he knows how to turn on the charm. I would love to have him back in the Premier League.
He lives 75 yards down the road in London from Chelsea. I know exactly where his house is.
Exactly.
That was amazing. Today, in Bueno, Brian Mebo, who's come from Brentford to join Manchester United, part of that £210 million spend for Ruben Amorim, says it's up to the players. It's their poor form. It's not the system. There is a clamour for Amorim. I mean, they've got Sunderland on Saturday, then a 2-week international break. I'm hearing about Michael Carrick in a caretaker role. We're hearing about Sir Gareth Southgate. We're talking about a man who refuses to change his system. The press are on this. Your view interests me. They can't... what's he won? 33 points in 37 matches. It was appalling.
At some point, someone's going to have to break here, and what is not breaking is Amorim's refusal to change. So he is sticking with his 3-4-3 system. It clearly is not going to work. It's clearly not working.
He hasn't got the players to make it work at Man United.
And Bumo's come out today defending it, says blame the players, don't blame the system. But that system doesn't work. Look, they've got Sunderland at home. That should really be a banking Man United victory.
But Sunderland are 4th in the Premier League and Manchester United are 15th.
Exactly. Sunderland had a great start to the season, done some great recruitment in the summer. They'll fancy going to Old Trafford.
Who wouldn't right now?
Exactly. So if he loses that game, it starts to get
if
to
I was the manager of any team,
and
you're much more intelligent on football, as is Ryan, than me, their midfield doesn't work. It's easy to overrun. I honestly, I can't believe... I genuinely can't believe if they lose to Sunderland, he can continue.
They've got 2 players in the middle who haven't got the legs to do it. I mean, they really need to get Kobbie Mainoo kind of back up and running in there.
Any team would have him, the young kid. Amazing. Won't even have him on the subs bench. Unbelievable. Also, Mark Cucurella, the one with lots of hair, he actually looks like Jodie. Mark Cucurella's got hair like Jodie. It's long and curly. He wants Chelsea to cut out the red cards. That could be a problem for them.
Well, yeah, they've had 3 in the last 4 matches now. Yep. Look, Chelsea have got problems as well. Look, they've got their own injury crisis going on there. Maresca's under a bit of pressure. Yes, they won last night, took a bit of heat off.
They won with an own goal. They were battered on the pitch by Benfica with respect, weren't they?
Exactly. And look, they're in danger of falling a bit behind in the Premier League. Lost 3-1 at home to Brighton last week. Got Liverpool this weekend.
And they need a result because Arne Slot's going to get a bit of grief in a minute.
Exactly. They can't keep having players sent off. If you're a top team, you can't afford it. Everyone gets the odd red card, but 3 and 4 is silly. It's reckless.
Also tomorrow, FIFA warn England fans that World Cup games could kick off even later. Why is that? Because it's hot. Where is the World Cup? We've got a minute. Where is the World Cup?
Well, World Cup predominantly in the USA, but also Mexico and Canada. But look, we know it's hot from the Club World Cup that took place in the summer. A lot of the games were put back because of these thunderstorms. There was at least 6 matches were affected. We already knew these games were going to be late. Look, England fans are going to have to realise there's going to be...
No England fan cares. I don't care if he's drinking at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it depends what time he starts drinking. If it's cracking open his first one at 2 a.m, it's whether he's going to turn up for work the next day. But
He actually doesn't drink.
The long and short of this is we knew there were going to be late games. They could be even later. And that means people watching at home on TV, they're going to be late. We've got problems as newspapers where they get them in. Radio shows going to be going even later into the night. It's going to be a whole new experience for us.
All of that in the amazing Sun Sport tomorrow. Mike and his team, thank you so much indeed. Message to the man who thinks that I was rude about Dunfermline. I booked my summer holiday there. It's going to be fantastic. I'm off to Dunfermline with the family next year. Ryan's going to do a recce this week. I know the news is next. Be quiet.
Do you think it's a racist policy?
Well, I do think that it's a racist policy. I do think it's immoral. It needs to be called out for what it is.
According to Keir Starmer, if you think young men that illegally cross the English Channel should be detained and deported, you're racist. In fact, if you even criticise any element of the immigration policies of the last two governments, you're racist. And yet the Home Secretary, Shabama Mahmood, tries to copy our policies.
Patriotism, a force for good, is turning into something smaller, something more like ethno-nationalism, which struggles to accept that someone who looks like me and has a faith like mine can truly be English or British.
Britain is being invaded. Thousands of fighting-age men from countries that despise Britain continue to arrive on our beaches. Our plan is the only appropriate response to a national security emergency. Immediate removal. Deportation is the ultimate deterrent.
Our flags flying proudly as we celebrate difference and oppose racism.
Labour says these policies are racist and immoral, and by implication, Reform supporters, Reform voters, Reform sympathisers are racist too. Yes, if you think we should control our borders, you are, by the definition of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, all racists.
We can all see that the country faces a choice, a defining choice. Britain stands at a fork in the road. We can choose decency, or we can choose division, renewal or decline.
To accuse countless millions of being racist is a very, very low blow. Why? Well, this language will incite and encourage the radical left. I'm thinking of Antifa and other organisations like that. It directly threatens the safety of our elected officials and our campaigners. And frankly, in the wake of the Charlie Kirk murder, I think this is an absolute disgrace.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
My friends, just gone 6 o'clock. We're live across the UK. It's Talk Drive for another hour. Kev O'Sullivan is here with his political asylum from 7, and don't forget, from 10, Monday to Thursday, the amazing Harry Cole live from Washington, D.C. with Harry Cole saves the West. Ryan and Jodie are having a bitch fight is the best way to describe it, about who is in fact in charge today. I said to Jodie, could I have a call? She went, get Ryan to do it, because he seems to be doing it. And Ryan went, yeah, apparently I've got to do that. And now it's all gone a bit nasty. I don't know. They went on holiday 6 months ago. This is what happens with office relationships. It sours. That's what causes the problems. Oh, I'm just here to referee. 03 Big Dave's having a laugh. He's looked in the mirror again. 03 I'm joking, D. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Nick is in London. Nick, good evening, sir. You're on Drive. How are you?
I am very, very well, very well, and I hope you are too. You were saying earlier with Jonathan Gullis, the thing about the Labour Party is they think they're the good guys.
Yeah,
and that's true, they do. But it's more than that. they appear to also think others are bad guys and evil guys in some cases. They have got no caution about labelling them, stigmatizing them, denouncing them. They call them scum, they call them evil, they call them reckless. They try and ban people from going out. They laugh at milkshakes being thrown over them. They genuinely give the appearance of not only thinking political opponents are bad guys, but evil guys.
It's interesting, isn't it? I listen to them, and I get the distinct feeling that the Labour Party is like a few students and younger people, I won't go into any detail, that I have discussions with, where I really, in a democratic society that I believe in and free speech that I believe in, I think you should be able to spend an hour disagreeing with somebody at the top of your voice even. I think I would, that's, and then you go and have a drink. That's a democracy. The thing about this younger generation and the left is, this is not an exaggeration to say, it's all about their truth, isn't it? I'm not allowed my opinion. I'm an archaic dinosaur who needs to be cancelled, and almost everything that I've ever believed in needs to be trashed. No, if I'm going to accept your opinion, or your right to have that opinion, then you surely have to reciprocate. But it's always one-sided. And I thought yesterday with Starmer was a really good example. It's very easy, isn't it, for people at Labour to say, he's this, he's that, he's the other. If it had been the other way around, all hell would have broken loose. And I just saw it as a moment where the establishment, actually, the established parties they're panicking. Now, they can only be panicking because of what the polls are saying. The polls are saying that the people in this country, for whatever reason, are siding at this moment with Nigel Farage. If your best way to attack that is to call the man and everybody who supports him a racist and then 24 hours row back on it, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. They appear to not be able to listen to an opposite point of view.
Completely agree.
Right? Their ears shut, and it's a sign of a completely closed mind. The most important.
Or is it more not jumping in deliberately? Well, actually, I'm jumping in deliberately. Why did I say that? Is it actually proof of a mind that, or a movement that is incapable of dealing with genuine, challenges? Or is it the mind of somebody who knows that the writing's on the wall? Nick, I've got to move on. I really appreciate your call. Please, if there are others that want to get on before now and 7, we'll get to you. Gary Hallis, hello. Keep pressing that Trump button. Where can I get one? Oh.
That is such fake news.
Do it again.
You're fake news.
I know. No, we're not.
Listen, you're fake news.
No,
you're fake news.
I'm not. Be quiet, then. 7 minutes past 6, 0344 499 1000. Thank you to Gary Hallis. Let's go. Oh, I love this. This is my moment of the week where I can just sit back and relax. We say a very good evening, Chief Political Writer of Spiked, the legend that is Brendan O'Neill. How are you?
Hi, Jeremy. How you doing?
Well, you see, every week I find myself, when it gets to Wednesday, with my favourite guest, thinking, can it possibly have got any worse? And this week, I literally, yesterday, I've never seen a response like it. I've never seen the phones light up. I've never seen people so angry. You heard the last caller say it's easy for the Labour Party and those sorts of people just saying, you should be cancelled, you're outrageous. I thought yesterday was one of the biggest political mistakes. I thought it was novice-y. I thought it was just ridiculous. You played entirely, Keir Starmer, into Nigel Farage's hands, didn't he, Brendan?
Absolutely. The way Starmer and David Lammy and Shabama Mahmood are talking about Farage, it's absolutely ridiculous. That, this far-right slur just doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't.
It just doesn't wash. People can see through this. It's so transparent. And I think it really speaks to the desperation of this government. They are flailing like crazy in response to the threat posed by reform. The threat posed by reform, not only to this government, but to the very foundations of modern British politics. They know that Nigel Farage is leading an insurgent party that millions of working class people want to vote for. And they know this party will shake up the two-party system in a way that we have never seen before. And the only way they can deal with that, because they have no vision, no beliefs, and they are moral cowards, is by wheeling out the Hitler slur, the fascist slur, the far-right slur. That's all they've got left in their armoury. It is absolutely pathetic.
I mean, I watched it yesterday. Today, of course, Starmer is rowing back. He directly asked asked again today, is Nigel Farage a racist? No, he's not. He's a formidable opponent. Oh, right, that's a bit of a change. What about you saying that everybody who's purports to be interested in what Reform are saying, they're racist? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the policies are racist, some of them. So if you're saying to people who support those policies, indirectly you're calling them racist. And Lammy, what a great example that is. What a horrendous human being. This is a man who yesterday thought it was appropriate, our Deputy Prime Minister, for Christ's sake, to say that Nigel Farage, a fellow politician, had flirted with the Hitler Youth, the movement that was banned and expelled and ended 25 years before Nigel Farage was born. So extraordinary. But for me as well, I cannot get clear in my head more than those two things. And I really wanted, I'm watching the Labour Party conference and seeing the shadow cabinet, like they're metronomes, waving their flags whilst Labour councils are taking them down. When he said that Reform voters could be labelled as unpatriotic and you don't care about the United Kingdom. I would have thought that all those people who try to fly flags, all those people who want to be proud of what this nation is, who want to stand up and say, look, if you weren't born here and you weren't paying in, you need to prove your worth. We're a proud nation. I would have thought these people were for the United Kingdom. I've obviously got that completely wrong.
Of course they are. Far more than Starmer's government, which can't even control the borders, looks down its nose at Britain and its history. We know that when you saw all those Labour suits waving the St George's flag at the conference, we know they don't believe it. That was such a pathetic spectacle.
Do you know where they got all the flags from, by the way?
No, where?
They got them from Yvette Fielding, she was the ghost one. Yvette Cooper's garage. Because did you remember that terrible video a few weeks ago when she went, I've got them all over my house? No, you haven't, you lying woman. Of course you haven't. You think, see, I think, because you do this for a job, but I think that the Labour Party is stuck. And I think the Tories are stuck. Because in the past, under the uni-party sort of monopoly, you could say a line produced by a SPAD or a focus group. You could say, this person's wrong, and that was enough. I think the great British public have gone, nah. That's rubbish, man. We'll make our own minds up. I hate to make the analogy, but I can see a massive similarity between here and America. I really, really can.
Jeremy, we're living through a very historic moment. We are living through the death rattle of the uni-party, the death throes of the old party system, the old political system. And who knows what will come with Reform? Who knows if they'll win the next election or maybe get enough seats to have a coalition government? No one knows. But we do know that we are in the end days of the old ways of doing things.
And isn't that interesting for people who perhaps are listening and saying, what do you mean? What that means is for years and years under the two-party system, I remember, I'm going to say the SDP would get 10,000 votes in each constituency in 1 or 2 seats, but they'd have like 4 million votes, which is what happened to Reform last time. For a party, any party, it could be the Greens, it's not going to be the Liberal Democrats, let's be honest. It could be any of these parties that are insurgent, as you say. Suddenly it's saying to the Tory party, to the Labour Party, the world has changed, people have changed. I mean, the other thing that I wanted your opinion on was, Her Majesty's opposition wasn't even mentioned by the Prime Minister, so irrelevant have the Tories become.
They are so irrelevant. And, it gives me no pleasure to say that, actually, because I quite like Kemi Badenoch. I think she's got a lot going for her. I think she's a smart politician, but she's out of her depth and she's out of her time. And if it was a different era where politics wasn't collapsing in the way that it is, she might have made a bit of a move. She might have been more impressive. But she's come at the wrong time because British people want change. They are sick and tired of Tories. They are sick and tired of Labour. They want something different. This is our Trump moment, if we're being honest about it, or maybe we could call it the sequel to Brexit, where the people are crying out for a radical change in politics in this country. And the thing that really gets on my wick, and you mentioned it just there, is this idea that Labour is not attacking Reform voters, it's only attacking Reform politicians. That is such codswallop. If you call this party racist, if you call its policies racist, if you call its leader racist, then you are calling its supporters racist. And in fact, I'd go further. This Farage phobia that has taken over the Labour Party, what really drives it is a hatred of the ordinary working class people who have dared to turn their back on Labour and go.
But that's my point. I was really interested yesterday. Sorry, at my age, I can't remember, but I think I'm going to say it was... Who was on from Revolt? Oh, it was David Bull. That was right, David Bull, the chairman. And he was saying that what's really interesting, if you look at constituents across the United Kingdom, is that a large percentage of the people coming over are not just Tories, they are Labour voters as well, in those red wall seats who feel let down. I've heard from all sorts of people who say, you wouldn't think this of me. I'm an immigrant. I hate what's going on. I think that all politicians, I mean, I'm talking Labour here, and I'm talking Tories, are so used to it just happening. You go from one to t'other. You say a bit, if they're messing up, Ming Vars say nothing, get elected. Suddenly you've got this bloke on the front foot leading the discussion. I mean, the Tory party conference this week is in Manchester, I believe, and everybody has told us that without any shadow of a doubt, she's going to come out the blocks and announce that the Tories, if elected, will leave the ECHR. And I've said it 5 times already today, and all the main newspapers and journalists are going to go, I think you'll find Farage said that 6 months ago, love. And I'm not being disrespectful to Kemi Badenoch. You're perhaps right. Maybe wrong place, wrong time. Following, I don't know if you're a football fan, following Alex Ferguson at Manchester United was nigh on bloody impossible. You might as well just forget it for a few years. Maybe the Tories are just going to be dormant for 5 years, and maybe it won't be Farage, but you get the feeling out there that something's happening. That's what I get the feeling.
You know, do you remember they used to say that if you put a red rosette on a donkey, it would win in these old Labour seats? That's not true anymore. No. You can't take the mick out of working class voters anymore. And the reason that working class voters are abandoning in Labour makes perfect sense to me. Labour betrayed them. It stabbed them in the back. It looked down its nose at them. It called them xenophobic for opposing the European Union. It called them Islamophobic for being worried about radical Islam or grooming gangs. It called them transphobic for thinking that you shouldn't let men wander into women's bathrooms. It constantly demeaned them as phobic, racist, stupid lowlifes. And if you say that to people all the time, guess what? They're going to turn their backs on you. They're going to look for someone else. They're going to look for other answers. And that's what people are now doing with reform.
I couldn't agree more. Sorry, we've got some breaking news. Oh, God. Is this Greta Thunberg's boat? Like, I really want to be talking about that child that should be in school. The Gaza Flotilla is expected to be intercepted by the Israeli Navy within the hour, Reuters is reporting, Brendan. It adds they've declared a state of emergency on board. The development comes as the nearly 50 vessels even continue their approach towards the coast of Gaza, where they're going to bring international peace. We've got live pictures on this. I've got no idea what they're of. Sorry. They've declared a state of emergency. All the boats have got together and went, it's a state of emergency. The Israeli Navy are coming for us. We were going to sort the war in Gaza. Oh, God alive. Honestly, give me 2 minutes. What are you supposed to say about that? Do you feel that with Greta Thunberg heading towards Gaza on a yacht, the world's going to be a better place, or am I missing?
I just cannot believe the arrogance of these people who think they can sail into a country's waters, into its sovereign territory, while it's at war, I might add.
Yes.
And there will be no consequences for them whatsoever, that they won't be arrested, they won't be intercepted. What a colossal amount of privilege you have to think that you can behave that
Great.
way.
Honestly, I bow down to you. I'd completely agree. So good luck to the Gaza Flotilla. It's an aid for... I mean, the amount of aid they must have been able to get on those 27 boats, that'll sort everything out. Oh, it's 50 boats. And all the boats have got together and gone, Smokey Bear, this is Rubber Duck, we're having a state of... I mean, I've never heard anything so ludicrous in my life. Let's get back to this country. Today there was also news, Brendan, that the government, the Home Office, won't respond to us. They won't talk about individual cases. The Home Office, and I knew this from the conference 3 weeks ago, have cut Nigel Farage's personal security by 75%. He's now having to pay for it through donations and party whatever, finances, I'm guessing, privately, because, of course, he's in a very, very focal position. Not made any better, by the way, by what was said yesterday. Somebody brought up a cenotaph, like last year he was left on a balcony. Surely if you're the leader of a party nigh on leading everybody else by a mile, should he be treated with more respect by by the establishment, or is this just another dig in his direction, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. If there is any politician that needs protection right now, it's Nigel Farage, because he is, for some reason, I think he's quite a moderate, good, decent politician, but to some idiots out there, they see him as this mad lunatic who probably deserves some kind of punishment or protest or reprimand. He needs to be protected. He needs to be kept safe. You know, I'm all in favour of colourful, provocative, free, open political discussion.
Yep.
And this country actually has a great tradition of political insult and political jibes and parliamentary to and fro. I don't want to clamp down on any of that. But when Starmer and the rest of his stupid party are comparing people to Hitler, or saying they're far right, or saying they're a fascistic threat to this country, or as Starmer said, Farage is the enemy and we will fight you. That is dangerous talk in this climate. And imagine if Farage had said that about Keir Starmer, or if Farage said that about Kemi Badenoch. It would be all over The Guardian. They'd be going nuts. But apparently Starmer can say it. So these are worrying times for that kind of rhetoric, I think.
I just want to finish with... actually, I'm going to finish with both. Ed Miliband, can we get this clip ready again for Brendan O'Neill? Because this is, if you're just tuning in to Talk Drive, Ed Miliband is the Labour leader who put up his aims on a tombstone, which basically meant that was it. He got caught trying to eat a bacon sandwich. Today, Mad Ed, the man who wants to spend 800 billion turning us green, and we must never forget Mike Graham's approach. When we do hit net zero, what happens? Do you get a medal? What happens? Pointless. Ed Miliband's taken aim at Elon Musk. Have a watch, have a listen.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. He incites violence on our streets. He calls for the overthrow of our elected government. He's an enabler of disinformation through X. He thinks he can tell us how to run Britain. Conference. We have a message for Elon Musk. Get the hell out of our politics and our country.
Brendan, two things you should know before you respond to this. One, because we checked this out, Ed Miliband has an account on X. Secondly, this is obviously, you know, I mean, it could be an unfair thing, but I think it's only fair to say that the Labour Party sent 24 volunteers out to America to help Kamala Harris fight Donald Trump in the last election. Is that not the same? Is that not hypocrisy at its worst level, my friend?
Disgusting hypocrisy. You know, when X and Twitter and all that lot was run by billionaires who they liked, who were on their side, who are pro-Democratic Party, pro-Labour Party, they had no problem with political meddling at all. In fact, they encouraged it. Now that X is run by a billionaire they don't like, they're all up in arms. But, you know, that was such a cringe-worthy clip. It just makes me think, why are our politicians so nasal, so robotic, so wooden?
This, by the way, this man, this human being, Ed Miliband, right? In a recent poll of Labour members, Wes Streeting's at the bottom, so he should be calling for Ange to come back. Ed Miliband had a 73% approval rating, and if it was down to the members, would be the next Prime Minister of this country.
It's horrifying. What happened to the great orators in British politics? You know,
his brother was excellent, by the way. David Miliband was much better.
David Miliband even, or, you know, Tony Benn, Margaret Thatcher, even Tony Blair, Peter Shaw, Barbara Castle, these great figures from British history, which you might agree with or disagree with, but they could speak. They could hold an audience enraptured. They were able to convince people to think a certain way, to get better, to vote for them. These politicians are so wooden and so boring.
But you know, actually, because I could be a political nerd if I spent much more time with you. I'll tell you, one of the things that I really feel strongly about, and you've just said it, is they're all the same. They're so bland. They pretend to be perfect. They pretend to be oven ready. The truth is, and I always quote this defamation case. Who helped me with the case, and then some weeks later I was ringing him, and he said, "Oh, I've just come back from the Labour Party conference. I know people don't like what I'm going to say, but it's tough." And he said to me, "I went Labour." He went, "Jez, they're all the same." He said, "The only difference between the Labour Party and the Tory Party is the Tory Party like rent boys and cocaine, and the Labour Party like money. And the truth of the matter is, I crave for a politician, whether it's Nigel Farage or Angela Rayner Reborn, to to stand up and go, do you know what? I'm not perfect. I've been divorced twice. I've got 4 kids. I once got arrested, or I once got cautioned, or I've, you know, done. Just don't pretend to be something you're not. The British people are past caring whether you're whiter than white. They want people who effectively will stand up and say, this is what I believe in, let's try and make this work. If we don't, I'll put my hands in the air and be honest with you. That's it, isn't it?
We want them to level with us, speak to us like normal human beings and make our lives a bit better. That's not asking for much. It's the pint test, isn't it? Which politician would you like to have a pint with? Ed Miliband? I don't think so. Nigel Farage? Yes, please. That's what people are thinking. They want a politician who can speak to them as if they're a normal person.
You wouldn't have a drink with Ed Miliband. He can't even eat a bacon sandwich, for Christ's sake. Do you remember that? That was awful enough. Listen, I'm really grateful as ever, mate. We love having you on. Brendan O'Neill, chief political writer for Spike. 6:25, Peter Carball on the way. And that breaking news to repeat, because it's very, very serious breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. The Gaza Aid Flotilla, which is 50 vessels, led by Greta Thunberg, is expected to be intercepted by the Israeli Navy within the hour. All 50 of the vessels have declared a state of emergency in their little community. The development comes as they continue their approach towards the coast of Gaza. Yes, there's a fully fledged war going on, and Greta and her vegan mates think that they're... Oh, Jesus, going to make... I've got to lie down. I mean, that, by the way, wasn't...
Fake news.
Back in 3.
Fake news.
Shut up.
It's Starmer who stokes up division by deriding ordinary British people as far right, as racist, for expressing legitimate concerns about mass legal and illegal immigration. And it's Starmer's party that doesn't like our country and would rather wave the EU flag than our own red, white and blue union flag. It is them who don't trust the British people to decide who runs our country, thinking that Brussels bureaucrats and foreign courts can do it better.
We've had a bit of a disaster this morning. A scaffolding
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Breaking news, not about Greta Thunberg, it's about Ryan. He's not only going to Dunfermline, which is a fantastic place to visit in Scotland, he's going to Edinburgh. If you go anywhere near my daughter, I'll have you arrested. 0344 499 1000 631. We're live across the UK. Let's go to Shrewsbury. Now, is it Shrewsbury or is it Shrewsbury? Paul, good afternoon. What is it, Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury?
It depends which side of the river you're from, Jeremy.
Oh, which side of the river are you from?
Shrewsbury.
Oh, and the other side of the river is Shrewsbury, yeah?
Yeah, apparently it used to be spelled Shroesbury.
What happens if you live on a boat on the river? What if you were Greta Thunberg? How would she say it? She'd be paddling up and down trying to make everybody happy, wouldn't she?
Well, she'd be moaning about something.
Yes, she would. Lovely to have you on, my friend. What do you want to talk about?
Well, basically, I'm just wondering if Nigel will bring out proportional representation. The reason I say that is I've always voted Liberal. I've always voted Liberal for the fact that I believe in one person, one vote.
No, I agree with that, but you can't vote for Ed Davey, can you? Come on, that's ridiculous.
I actually vote for proportional representation. No other reason.
Be interesting, actually. I don't know. I genuinely don't know the answer to that. I don't know if anybody can fill me in from Reform, but our Reform. It's interesting. Your question.
Well, when you think about it, if there was proportional representation, Reform would have a hell of a lot more seats than the Liberals do now.
No, but your question is very interesting and relevant, because let's say the end of the uni-party thing happens, which is it's unbelievably seismic, this. If it happens, if Reform got in, would they keep the same system having bucked the trend against anybody's expectations, or would they bring in proportional representation to shore up their position? It's a really good question.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, say, I look at it, 9 times out of 10 you would get a coalition government, but that would mean that the parties would have to work together for the whole of the country rather than just their little bit section of it.
Sadly, no, I agree with that, and I agree. I absolutely agree about proportional representation. The only thing I would say about coalition governments is you then find, and you're not going to like what I'm going to say, when your lot had a stab at power in 2010 with Cameron, the reason I have such anger towards Nick Clegg is that the one policy that they had that I thought was right, which was cancelling tuition fees for students, he jettisoned in return for the role of Deputy Prime Minister and then buggered off to America and earned £10 million with Facebook. And I think that sometimes coalition governments, just to make deals, don't end up getting stuff done. But you make a really great point, mate. I really appreciate it. And so it's Shrewsbury where you are, yeah?
Yeah, it's Shrewsbury.
And
I live in the area that's spelt Shrewsbury.
And do you support Shrewsbury Football Club?
No, I've only ever seen them once.
Who do you support?
I'm actually from North Cheshire originally, and I'm a United fan. My mother was from Salford.
Sorry, let's just have a minute. A Man United fan?
Since I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
You must be disappointed. They're rubbish, man, aren't they?
They are at the moment. On the other hand, it's a case of why can we beat Chelsea and not beat Brentford or Grimsby?
Why can Watford lose every game and then win? Why are West Ham rubbish? Life goes on. Great to have you on, Paul, in Shrewsbury. Very kind of you. 0344 499 1000. Now, unfortunately, my bit's come out of my ear, which means my wire is hanging out, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. It's time to say hello. This time of the show, this time of week, I'm merely... I'm grateful for you listening and watching for the last 3 days. And I then am only interested in promoting the real definition of a drive show. Tomorrow from 4 o'clock, Peter Cardwell, the main man, will take control, as he will on Friday, and will deliver a show that is in itself a brilliant advert for radio and shows what I do every day as a pile of crap. Peter Cardwell, good afternoon.
What an intro, Jeremy. Thanks very much. I've actually been looking up that
question on Reform UK on the proportional representation. Would that be helpful if I told you about that?
Bit sad, to be honest, but yeah, that's good. It's great.
This is why I'm here. This is what I do.
Oh, let's do politics. Thank you very much. It's a really interesting call. The guy's basically saying if they manage to buck the trend against a system that has been in place, the two-party system, for years, and manage to defeat all the odds and win, would Reform at that point think it would make sense to shore up their position by bringing in proportional representation? What do you think? What have you found out for us?
Well, they do already. They believe this already. It's been their position for a couple of years now that they want a referendum on proportional representation. They want to put that to the people and ask them if that's what they want. If you look at how the system works at the moment, your caller there from Shrewsbury, talking about the 3.5 million people who voted for the Liberal Democrats. Well, they got 72 MPs in the last election. 4.1 million voted for Reform UK, and they got 5 MPs elected.
And let's explain to people the reason for that would be, let's just say that Reform would have got 8,000 or 10,000 votes in a majority of constituencies, but never enough. Whereas Labour and Tories traditionally, north of Watford Gap, the Labour will get everything, and south of Watford Gap, the Conservatives was. And I remember from doing politics at school or university or something, they always said the real area was the Midlands. That's where your election was won or lost.
You're absolutely right, Jeremy, and it's certainly about managing the vote, knowing where to put in campaigners to different constituencies. And Nigel Farage would say, and has said actually, that the Reform UK have a lot to learn from the Liberal Democrats in terms of vote management. So if you have 2 constituencies and you're going to come second in both, well, far better to move your troops into one of them and say, right, knock every door, talk to every voter, make sure you get the vote out in one of them, win 1 seat rather than no seats because you've come second in both of them. In
your political experience, and I mean, you've been a SPAD, a broadcaster, a book writer, in fact, a right clever dick, if ever there was one. I'm only joking. You saw the conference yesterday. I've never, and I've been here 3 years, I've never seen a response from listeners and viewers as we had almost instantly. And then today we've had, when Farage stood up between those 2 flags, instantly, a man with only 5 seats, the Tories non-existent, and responded and said, you're basically calling all of the people that support Reform racists. I thought it was incredibly powerful. People really got it. Today we've had Starmer Rowan back. He's a formidable man. He's not a racist. And all you people that like Reform, you're not racist, but the policies you support are. I'm a bit confused. Lammy, that was just... David Lammy is... I don't even understand how he can be in the government. And today, have you seen Ed Millipede with Elon Musk? Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I saw that story as well.
This is a man with an X account, by the way, who sent people to help Kamala Harris. Fact.
Yeah, well,
they're a mess, man.
They are a mess, and they've overplayed their hand in this. They've gone too far. He knows he went too far in this, and he's Starmer, and he's had to row back in so many of those interviews, saying that because inevitably, I was on air on Sunday, and as soon as he said that those policies from Nigel Farage were immoral and racist, well, then people say, well, if I support them, am I immoral? Am I racist? Is that what you're calling me? I think we got to a situation similar to Hillary Clinton in 2016 when she called people who supported Donald Trump the deplorables. And once we start using language like that, talking about people in those terms, even policies in those terms, which people take to mean them, and it's not the first time they've done this, then you have David Lammy, celebrity mastermind contestant himself, going and
What's your name? Mary. You've got that wrong as well. He was so bad. You should watch that clip. It's brilliant, by the way.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, it was Marie and Pierre were the couple who discovered radium. What was their surname? Antoinette. No, Marie Antoinette did not discover radium. It was Marie Curie. Sorry about that. Which French cheese? And he said Red Leicester. I mean, it's required viewing. But the thing with David Lammy is he has strong opinions, but he has absolutely nothing to base them on. And the fact that, Nigel Farage is nearly old enough to even have flirted with Hitler Youth.
He wasn't born. It was banned. It was disbanded 25 years before Nigel Farage was born.
I mean, it's crazy stuff. And it shows how desperate they are, Jeremy. It shows how much mud they want to throw to a party.
But 3 years and 9 months out, Pete. You've done elections. 45 months out from an election. Guts, or you can call it whatever you want to say. That's panic buying, man. That's the last minute, isn't it?
It is panic. Look, a lot can change. At this stage, last time round, 5 years ago, people thought Boris Johnson was going to become a Prime Minister and win a historic 5th term for the Conservatives, and look what happened there. So listen, a lot can happen in 3.5 years, but the fact is that consistently in over 100 polls, Reform UK have been ahead. Keir Starmer is spooked out by this. The Conservatives are spooked by this. We've seen Danny Kruger moving from the Conservatives to Reform. And what is happening is a change in the politics of this country, a change in how people think about politics. You mentioned the uni-party idea earlier on, the thought that Labour, Conservatives and the Lib Dems are essentially all the same. On the left, it's changing as well. Jeremy Corbyn, if he manages to get organised, could
What's
take
happened to the Fruit and Nut Party with Sultana, Zara Sultana?
Well, she says it's racist to make fun of her surname, by the way. So
her name is Zara Sultana.
Yes, she says it's racist.
I got called Kyle Pile Hemorrhoid at school. I didn't sue anybody. I thought it was quite funny.
I was Peter Cardboard. Yeah.
Peter what?
I was Peter Cardboard at school.
What, in terms of your performance, or just...
and personality or lack of, yeah, exactly.
Don't put yourself down. That's my job. Don't be unfair to yourself.
Very true, very true. But no, I just think we're witnessing a big shift with Jeremy Corbyn. They've registered now as a political party. If they get organised, they could take up to 10% of the vote. It'll be really interesting to see what happens, both to Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch after.
Well, talk about Kemi Badenoch. I mean, so irrelevant. It manages opposition, 121 seats, not heard of. You're a political. You're switched on, right? A few questions for you. Of course, we're 3 years and 9 months out. Two questions about Nigel Farage. Right now, if there was an election, he'd be the Prime Minister. Do you see him being a Prime Minister, yes or no?
I do see him being Prime Minister. It is possible. I don't think it's definite, but it's possible.
Without Nigel Farage, does the Reform Party form a government, or is it all about the one man?
I think it is basically about Nigel Farage. There's some other really good performers within that party, Richard Tice, David Bull, various people who certainly will be very good government ministers if reform comes in. They've got some really good people behind the scenes and advising them behind the scenes. There are quite a number of people who are actually, in think tanks and things like that, starting to properly engage with Reform UK. So I think they will have a good background team, but they're essentially, when people think of Reform UK, they think of Nigel Farage. That's fine, in the same way as when people think of Jeremy Corbyn, the party, whatever it's called, they think of him. They don't think of Zara Sultana or anybody else who's in that party. That can be both an asset and a liability, but for the meantime, it's a real asset to Reform UK, certainly.
Now, you're on Drive tomorrow and Friday and probably on Saturday and Sunday, but we just need you to respond, please, before we head to The Sun for an update in tomorrow's paper. Do you like my new button, by the way?
Come on, you are fake news, okay? You're fake, you're fake news. Fake news. Listen, you're being rude. You're fake news. You're fake news. Stop being rude. Yep. You're fake news.
This is not fake. I want your response to this. Greta Thunberg's Gaza Flotilla has just released a statement saying there's 50 vessels heading towards Gaza to stop the war. They're going to be intercepted by the Israeli Navy, and 50 boats have declared a state of emergency. Would you like to respond to the choppy waters story that's taking over?
I really, really, really think of a very important Northern Irish phrase in all of this, which is slap it up them.
Slap it up them?
Slap it up them.
Slap it up them? What the hell does that mean?
Serves them right. I mean, they're idiots. There's some very unsavoury characters in some of those boats, and if they give Greta another turkey sandwich, do you see the way she looked at that turkey sandwich the time before? Find yourself someone in your life who looks at you the way Greta Thunberg looks at that turkey sandwich, I'm telling you.
I'm from now on going to know you as Peter Slap Him Up and Cardwell.
Slap it up them, big lad.
We'll see you on Drive Time tomorrow at 4 o'clock. The legend that is Peter Slap It Up and Cardwell. Back in 3.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Kev O'Sullivan's political asylum and Harry Cole saves the West from 10. And don't forget, he's back 6 o'clock in the morning. The only way to wake up. Mike Graham's Morning Glory is on air tomorrow from 6. We say a very good evening. This is sort of a succession of very talented men with no hair that come down from the newsroom. Will Barker, Deputy Head of News. John Lucas is under you, isn't he?
When?
Well, I'm not asking Jodie, I'm asking you. Hey!
I am above him in the hierarchy on the news desk.
Bear that in mind, Jodie. He's over John Lucas. She's thinking about it, her eyes are closed. Listen, my friend, thank you for coming in. Tomorrow's Sun, this is a major, major story. During COVID, the awarding of contracts for PPE equipment was off the scale. The bra queen, Lady Michelle Mone, and her husband, a company, today they've been ordered to repay 121 or 22 million pounds. Is that right?
Yes, it is. I mean, the buck has now stopped on her. This has been going on since COVID. High Court today ruled that she needs to pay the government back 122 million. You've got Rachel Reeves and West Streeting really going for her. They want to remove the peerage from her because she's a Tory peer. I
wouldn't disagree with them, would you?
No, not at all.
I think it's disgraceful what's happened.
She claims...
So the company was PP MedPro, run by Mone's business husband Barrowman.
Doug Barrowman, yeah.
Provided 25 million faulty gowns to the NHS.
Yeah.
What, deliberately?
So I think they had this deal with them, and they started getting them in, and they put them through some independent study and discovered they just weren't up for the job. They didn't work at all.
And they'd been paid for them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Michelle now claims that she's been vilified, it was all a mistake, and she's the scapegoat and all this.
Well, if she's a scapegoat and she's been vilified, but actually she put people in danger with substandard kit, she should pay the money back,
exactly,
shouldn't she? I find myself completely agreeing with the Labour Party. I do think she should be stripped of that. I didn't realise this until yesterday, and this is an ongoing case, so we have to be careful, but Myleene Klass, breaking down in tears yesterday, she told of her sheer terror at being sent a pistol in the post by this alleged stalker. This is dreadful.
Yeah, so we've had Westy down, Alex West, down at the case of Birmingham today. Myleene took the stand very bravely behind the screen, so she didn't have to face this horrible, or this accused man, rather.
Peter
Windsor, who denies the stalking charges, I hasten to add, but she very tearfully told how she learnt how he'd sent, the accused was allegedly sent her this pistol, and she very bravely gave this evidence.
There was a gun with her name on it. Brave of her to actually do that. And listen, as I say, we have to be careful. But the Sun will undoubtedly be following that. This was on your front page today. Nicole Kidman files for divorce after 3 years apart from Keith Urban. I mean, he looks about half her age. But Keith Urban has raised eyebrows after he changed the lyrics of a song written about his romance with ex Nicole Kidman to name-check his new female guitarist.
I know.
Is she spanking his blank? Thought I'd drop that in.
Yeah.
That didn't even go down well through the glass. This is a mega story, isn't it?
Are they playing more than just music together? I don't know.
Oh, you missed my point, Ryan. Do you think she's planking his plank? I'm just saying she's a guitarist. Well, he gave her a guitar. It's extraordinary. Those sorts of stories really resonate, don't they?
They really do. And we sort of smell a bit of a rat, so we're going at this, trying to work out what it's all about. There's rumours that they've been apart for some time.
What was the rumour over the weekend? It was about intimacy. Apparently they have been living apart.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And she filed for the divorce
only after the story went out.
Yeah, there's something going on there. So
this is a
we're poking away at it.
They're poking it. They're poking it. Let's be having you. This is absolutely great, Jodie. Pin back your lug holes. It's a new career. A driver in a strippergram's police hat poses a traffic cop to stop a vehicle, only for its passengers to laugh at him.
Yeah. So this is very peculiar. This guy, I don't know if it's a prank that gone wrong, but he had been given a police hat from a strippergram. I don't know how that happens. I didn't realise strippergrams were still a thing, but he's got this police hat, and he has a sort of a spat with a guy around a roundabout, thinks he's been cut up, gets out the car, tries to puts the hat on, and tries to
uniform, just a pair of jeans and a t-shirt with a police hat on.
Tries to flag down and the car just laughs at him. and then just decides to dob him in. And it's all caught on CCTV, and he admitted it in court today. And
what's he? Magistrates in the van. What? Passengers in the van laughed and reported him to the real police at Chester Magistrates Court yesterday. Jobless Hughes of Ellesmere Port. Has he lost his job? Admitted impersonating a cop and was fined £40 with 101 in costs. His lawyer, Chris Hunt. Yeah. It was not consistent with a real officer's hat. It says just police in it. I've seen a clip from the vehicle. It shows men laughing, knowing he could not possibly be an officer. They respond in choice language. Have you ever been, Jodie, has anybody in this room ever been at a place where a strippogram dressed as a policeman or woman's arrived? I have, and it's left an indelible mark in my head. It was appalling.
Really?
Literally.
Oh.
Dread. I'm not telling a Sun newspaper reporter. That'll be on the front page tomorrow. What are you talking about? Absolutely no comment. I'm pleading the fifth. Will, brilliant. So in the paper tomorrow, busted that PPE firm, Michelle Mone and her husband, Doug Barrowman, isn't it?
That's Doug Barrowman, yeah. It's his firm, and she runs it with
they have been ordered to repay £122 million to the government for providing faulty gowns during the COVID crisis. More about that Myleene Klass story, bravely taking the stand after her stalker was, it's an ongoing case, but a pistol was sent. Yeah. Nicole and Keith Urban, more on that. And obviously the rule tomorrow is if you do ever get sent a strippogram hat, don't wear it and impersonate. Can you imagine? I mean, that's unbelievable, man. And also we should say well done, Will, because slightly hungover, but you did brilliantly. Yeah. Do you want to tell him why you're slightly hungover?
I went to the opening of the Wetherspoons pub downstairs.
He's got a claim to fame. He sunk the first pint poured at the new Wetherspoons. Look at Ryan, he's jealous. How long did it take you to drink the first pint?
I have to say it's my party skills. It took about 10 seconds, something like that.
You can drink a pint in 20 seconds? Yeah. Wow, you should see Jodie. 0344 499 1000. Let's talk drive.
This will cause more division on the street. As you said, Charlie Kirk, what happened in America? And it doesn't seem to have affected them, does it? Because, you know, they see us as somebody on the bottom of their shoe. I think that is a problem with Labour.
And they also...
They look down on people, but they're looking down at their own voters who's flocking to reform. You know, this is regular people who's come into reform because they're sick of the Labour government, they're sick of the Conservative.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
5 to 7, Kev here at 7 o'clock. Can I say a massive thank you to the team? Brilliant job this week. Ryan, who's done 3 straight days. He's a bit knackered. He's done Friday off. Brilliant job, Watford fan. Jodie, what can I say about Jodie? She's the life and soul of this show. We love her. The man on the buttons, Big Dave, is brought a degree of, well, just, I mean, it's brilliant. What a top job you've done. Did his hair, forgot to bring it. And the bloke pushing the buttons, whose name I don't know, disrespectfully at all. I don't know. What's his name? Pardon? Titus? Titus, you're a top man, Titus, as in Bramble, the footballer for Ipswich, you remember? 0344 499 1000. Let's get a call in before we finish. Jenny's in Hampshire. Jenny, you got 1 minute on Talk Drive. What you got?
Yeah, about Starmer. I find the Labour government, what's coming out of their face so disgusting. The fact that they're calling the indigenous people of this island Nazis. Do the Labour Party actually understand what the Nazis did? Because they're saying they're calling us Nazis and fascists for being just plain ordinary British people.
And that is, I think, and Peter Carball and I were just talking about this more on a Kev Share, no doubt. I think that's your issue, because I'm of the firm belief that Starmer is from that camp that has always believed you can get away, as he did after Southport, by saying everybody's far right. Everybody that takes to the streets is far right. It's not far right anymore. The truth of the matter is a huge number of hard-working, working-class people who have always played the game correctly, have paid their taxes and not broken the law, have been labelled as racist by our Prime Minister, and it doesn't work anymore. Jenny, thank you very much indeed. He strides into Studio Man. Studio One even. I've got your biscuits here.
Yes, leave them there. Excellent.
I thought you weren't here tonight. What happened?
I tell you, I was at university reunion, right?
Aren't they all dead, the people that went to university with you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Goes back to the 19th century, all the Victorians meeting up.
Was called off because of what? Because I read about
COVID.
this.
Too many people got COVID.
Is it back?
This one mate of mine who organised it, he said, I feel I ought to be there, so I've got terrible COVID, but I'm going to be there, but I'll be wearing a mask. I said, well, thanks very much, but I don't
I'm going back to work.
Exactly right. So there you go.
What you got on the show, bud?
Well, obviously, Danny Kruger from Reform UK is coming on to discuss what I think disgusting tactics by Labour. It really is low blow. And
but you could argue that it might be a low blow, but it shows entirely what they're about. I mean, I think it's... I mean,
it's disgusting, though. It's disgusting what they're doing.
But it's so narrow-minded as well, and then they've rode back today. Lammy rode back, and the security thing's disgusting as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, what you'll find out this weekend, all the Sunday papers will be commissioning polls, and they'll find out what effect that all this calling Nigel Farage racist and all that, what effect that has had on the electorate. My guess is Reform UK will gain more and more points. They've already gained 5 points this week.
Have you heard about the ID card poll? This is brilliant. On Friday, before he stood up and said we're bringing him 35% of the United Kingdom.
by the time he...
No, minus 14.
Minus 14.
How you get minus percentage? I've no idea. The man is an absolute...
You heard it here last, but ID cards will never come in. Tony Blair, at the beginning of the noughties, is still obsessed with them, but he was obsessed with bringing them in, and such was the tidal wave of British public opposition to it that even he